I messed up. Took it too far. Let's get these vibrations in. All right. There we go. All right. All right. Good evening. Good evening. This is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your host, Eight Wind, and I am timeless. I'm also Time Lord and the Starface. So a lot of different hats. But once again, I come to you because it all did start with a gentle sacrifice. People don't think that immortals could sacrifice something. So that's why it all starts with a gentle sadness. I am the holder of the continuous ball game of the Hero Twins. I am your galactic daddy-o, sitting on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. And tonight we do have a sponsor, Boathouse Brothers Brewing Company, and their mild tantrum mutiny series brown ale. You see, it's not very strong. Whether and they're saying is whether you're drinking it on the water or off. Every beer we brew is thoroughly crafted, reflection of what makes us live life in Minnesota. And somewhere on here, they might even have when it was brewed. Don't see it. But this is fresh beer. They let you try shit, all the beers. Damn near if you're like, yeah, keep letting me try another one. They'll let you try damn near all of it. Let that breathe for a second. This is going to be a sticky situation pouring it in there. But I did something today, and why I bought this beer, and I'll admit their beer's costly. Like this is basically 25 ounces, which is you get almost not quite four 12-ounce, 10, 20, no, two 12-ounce drinks. So it's about two beers in this one beer, and it's $8. And you can get some like you get the cheaper beers, Miller. You can get Miller or just Budweiser, and it costs about as much as this can. But again, this can, this is local fresh beer. Now, I think that one beer I bring that don't go, that beer comes from somewhere else. And that beer might be fairly old. It's not surprising to get a beer from December. It's past December. So this is freshly brewed. And that's really kind of how beer came to America. You know, everybody had somebody making beer. Same way with people was making liquor. It was the same kind of thing. The people that made the liquor and the beer. So this is a local place, but I want to say this. So I guess it's two tangents I want to take, but I'll see if I can think of both of them, but I'll say this. So my daughter had a recital for her baton, and I'll get into that too. But we, you know, for doing it, my mother came, and we took my daughter to go get ice cream at our local downtown. The place is kind of packed. We go in there. We must have waited. They must have waited a good 20 minutes, if not a little longer. It was a lot of people there. It appeared to be one or two girls, and one girl, I don't know, she did some other shit. It was just one girl making all this for everybody. So while they were waiting there, and I really hadn't ate. I ate kind of light today, but I looked at the ice cream and I'm like, yeah, I haven't eaten all day, and I am not going to put all that sugar in my system. So I went across the street and had a beer. This type of beer from their mild tantrum mutiny series brown ale from Boathouse Brothers Brewing Company, and bought one to go. Did buy one to go. I knew I was going to do that. But my point, the main point is this too. Like if you live in a smaller area, it's not bad to help your area. Even though I know this beer costs a little more, it helps my area. It helps a local business. And they give, like he just had his, I think, 3rd or maybe 5th year anniversary now, I think about it. And they had bands. It was a couple of weeks ago. They had bands and stuff. And so, I mean, we have a market. There's markets almost everywhere going from here to Twin City. Even in the Twin Cities, they have a market in Minneapolis. But there's one down here too. Farmers bringing their stuff, the fresh stuff. But it doesn't hurt to support the local businesses that live near you. I guess is my point. It doesn't hurt. And so if you can, think about that. Like I said, getting my first phone case and getting the screen protector, I could have got the same thing for about less than $20, but I paid $40 at my mall because again, it was when things was opening up, and he is a place where I go, and so that has to be considered when even you order stuff. You have to look at everything. So if you can help. And the second thing I want to talk about, my daughter's recital. Now this is an interesting kind of thing, and for people, a lot of people, this may be kind of. Well, let me start here. So when again, the dollar stores used to be called Define the Dimes, and then Woolworths might have been or Ben Franklin. When Ben Franklin stores came out, everything was a quarter because that's what it was, a Ben Franklin quarter. I know Ben Franklin had 50-cent pieces, but I think he had a quarter too. Yeah, quarter. But anyway, everything was less than a quarter. But at first it was called 5 and dimes. And I bring that up because it used to be batons. I mean, it was very common to get a cheap baton. I can remember batons being some of the first, like the early Walmarts seemed like they carried them. But I know the 5 and dimes, the Woolworths, we always had them and we played with them, but we would fight with them. I mean, they had the little rubber ends and, we would fight each other with them, but we always had them. Now, the competition tonight had some girls that one girl just signed for North Dakota. She's going to be the baton twirler at North Dakota. Now, North Dakota State, they're a little more popular. Another girl from Mankato State. Now, what you have to understand with the twirlers, generally, most colleges only carry one. Some two, but most just one. And so that person has that job for 4 years. So the girl we saw from Mankato State, she wore her uniform. She did. I guess maybe they played a few games. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. They go by Minnesota State too, but it's Mankato. Uh, but she got a scholarship like that. And I tell you, and why I say my daughter was born for this, the same skills to catch as a wide receiver they use. And I've said this before. Sometime when you run a deep pattern, you look up and you see where the ball is. And then you got to put your head back down and keep running. And then maybe look up again. But sometimes you run faster, you run slower looking up. I mean, some people can run fairly fast, but you slightly slow down looking up. And so sometimes you catch the ball like this and you see you got to run a little faster to see if you can meet it. I watched a girl do the exact same thing. They were tossing batons to each other, and I saw that same head movement that a receiver would use to catch something. And then you're catching things with your fingers in a certain position. I mean, it blows my mind that she's using some of the same skills. Now, again, a lot of the gymnastic and cheering skills they use. One girl, it was so sweet. She was twirling too. She put one baton down. I don't even know how the fuck she did this shit. She put one baton down, was twirling the other two, laid back down, and she had like spun. She had did some shit when she laid the other baton. Well, that motherfucker rolled all the way down. So when she did her next move, it was right there. She picked that motherfucker up. So it was just funny. It was funny. I saw little cheats girls would do, not throw it so high so they can make the move. I could see, because it's a kind of thing, and it goes almost like being a quarterback and throwing the ball. When you launch the baton, you have to pretty much see it's the same kind of thing. You launch it and you kind of catch it, but then you start your next move. And so as you anticipate its fall, you're really trying to look out your peripheral vision and catch where it's at and then adjust in the move. If you understand, because there's moves that they make when they throw that motherfucker up. They ain't just throwing the motherfucker up waiting for it. They make a move and then try to gain when they catch it. And it's funny where some of the girls didn't know their launch. They didn't really feel that their launch was off. And so, and the second part is, this is another funny thing. I looked at it last year. This is my daughter's third year. And I looked at it last year kind of like this. I was like looking at it if I was a talent agent. And if I was a talent agent for children's talent, what would stand out? And again, this is pre-mass. And the bad thing today is we were in a community center. So we were on a flat surface. Now, when the groups do moves, it's more effective when you can watch the moves, the fans being up. Because from the same level, it's hard to see the moves. But anyway, about forgot what I was going to say. Oh, but yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought. Oh, okay. So as a group movement, I'm kind of stuck. So let me refresh and say what's happening to everybody. Oh, but yeah, as a group movement, or even as a movement of throwing it up in the air, you have to adjust. Like once you see it, you have to adjust and move. Oh, so okay, this was what I was saying. This gets me back on track. So, like as a talent agent of children, talent agents, like you look at this group of say maybe 30 girls, and you really look not just necessarily their performance, but who would you see amongst them that stands out? Not necessarily. So you want to see that they can do the maneuvers, but there's more to it. There's more to it than that. Like who really shines through it. And it's funny. I noticed this one girl, and I saw her in practice too. But I was like, okay, if I look at all these, and it's not my taste or anything, I'm saying of just who would naturally have more charisma. I kind of pared it down like that. And I saw this one young lady. I guess she was a senior or going to be a senior, but she's teaching already. And I was like, yeah, that was the girl I thought. And so just as a charisma. And now that she's about to go college on scholarship too, I was like, okay, I was right in my in looking at which one of these kind of stands out just because of their essence. So I'm sorry. I go, Anise, before you forget, Smack. Oh, thank you, Anise. Key, what is happening? Overstand Mocha, what's going on? Oh, I finally caught one from the beginning. Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, yeah, definitely chill. It's going to be hot tomorrow, so we're going to probably swim in the pool and the lake. I'm going to go down the lake and stick my feet in the sand and in the water. Hey, Crazy Sarge. I'm live now. Sorry about that. I had a last minute kind of thing to do. Antoine, thank you for joining. Where am I at? Oh, here we go. Marcus the Great, thank you for joining. Hey, Ryan. I'm not surprised that Curry lost. Curry's father played. Yeah, Curry's father was Dale. Dale Curry. Yeah, Dale. Dale is a little younger than me. Couldn't guard nobody. But his thing was he got in on Charlotte because I think that was the last team he played for. Yeah, because Stephen then was living there. I think when Seth went to school, because Seth went to some other school first before Duke. I think Seth went to junior college or something. And they was living down there in Charlotte. So I think that's where Steph went to high school. Rocky, what's happening? Like I've said before, well, these are called growlers. These are pretty standard. Growlers is pretty standard. You can get these most places, unless you get the big jugs. But yeah, like Foster's beers, they ain't this big anymore, but they used to be. Foster's, Paul Hogan, and all that. They used to have big cans like this. So we used to be on A&T campus drinking these motherfuckers in summer school and shit. Motherfuckers like, damn, what the fuck? We buy a case of them and shit, and just sit there and drink them. But yeah, I'm not surprised Curry got knocked out. I was seeing, yeah, probably so. It probably is a shame ritual for next year because they're going to get the Timberwolves. So their draft ain't going to be that good from the Timberwolves. So that's one thing they're going to lose out on because it was kind of, I think, protected a little bit. But supposedly Thompson, but missing 2 seasons. I mean, remember Grant Hill coming back didn't really have it. So we'll see. What's the benefits of drinking beer? The biggest benefit is that you pee. That's the biggest benefit is that you pee. If you have trouble holding weight, this will definitely help you. Again, when we played in the summers, they gave us the zero alcohol beer for the cats that had trouble keeping weight, especially lime, and they wanted to keep lime into 7,300. And cats get to running all this running football, do it. It's easy to burn that off. So that's one of them. I like the taste. I like the taste of it. So I don't know what the benefit of the taste is. Can't really say I like that drunk feeling. Don't really like that. I like the taste of beer more than the drunk feeling. And I've had, I've talked before, I've had relatives that died of alcoholism from beer. So that's a real thing. So, yeah, I think that's a good point. Did you see the video of Tom Brady saying his wife is a witch and he does his job on the field while she does her job off the field? She makes him do all kind of rituals. Yeah, Shiest. The other part of it is he talked about his altar and her altar, and they showed that when they went to what was that? The New York Gala, the way she was dressed and the way he was dressed. They kind of showed that then. That she was probably a type of witch. Put your notifications on. Well, thank you, Key. That's cool. So that's one of the few, Ryan. Personal preference. I ain't never really been much of a liquor drinker. I mean, in college, of course. But once I got grown and got to, live in the houses, and never was a real thing. Not for me, not liquor, beer, but not liquor. And it will give you a beer belly. See, this is the trap that I fell in. When I played football and hooped a lot, I burned it off. because I was active. Again, I didn't stop really being active until I tore my Achilles at 50. And so, but even from playing football to just working and hooping and working out, it would help. It would gain pounds. I went from 175 to 250 in about 6 months, 7 months, and then not necessarily just from drinking beer, but just from not doing nothing. Quit working out, quit hooping, quit doing anything. Just was working for the water department. So I can't really say. You'd have to look it up. There's a few benefits though. Off the top of my head, I don't really remember. The natural barleys, but you'd have to look it up. You see, miss a 12 field goals in a row and miss both free throws. That was trying to get the same close because Golden State was getting whooped the whole game. I noticed that too. Because I was watching the game while they were sitting out there. I was watching the game in the bar, because it's a bar. They brew beer. I mean, it's a nice little thing. They had a little truck in front selling food, ice creams across the street. A lot of people buy ice cream and they're drinking beer. I just hesitated on all that sugar. So yeah, if I'm gonna spend some money, I'll go get me a couple beers while they waiting for theirs. But yeah, that was But even another thing is like the turnovers. There was 2 challenges they should have did. The dude hit him on the hand on purpose though, on the free throw by I think it was Pearson. I think it was. I mean that play was obvious. He fouled him on purpose. Yeah, dude did kick his leg, but he still fouled him on purpose. So, but it was 2 plays that could have been challenged. They didn't do. So yeah, it's setting them up for next year. You can see this wasn't there. And I'll tell you the biggest one is when they let Green hit a 3. And then there's like, well, he's a 27% 3-point shooter. So the whole game, see, that's what my thing about earbuds. Whole game, he wasn't trying no threes. But you see, they like, hey, line up outside. Because where did he post up? Every time he stayed inside the key. So when Steph was getting forced, because they was forcing them to pass the ball to him. He wasn't going outside for the threes. He was sitting inside the key. And then he was trying to felicitate. And there was a couple of turnovers between them 2. Curry had 6 turnovers the other night against LeBron. And tonight I counted at least 4. Again, I moved for a minute, so I missed some of the game while I was moving, but saw most of it. But it was interesting, like the one I put a video on, we could hear the loudness. See, let me tell you what I think about that. The video I put out with the loudness, because again, I was saying it's a system for him. His system don't usually have that. But look at the 2 shots. That one had the normal sound of most people in most games. But did you notice Green shot? Green shot was used with the Curry system. Do you see how? So the old system can still make that rattle like in. And then Jay's layup I showed. That layup was in. And they roll it around, roll it out. And then like the one I made on Curry. You showing the camera on him, and you knew the game was over when he put the towel over his head, the shaming. That's the shaming. That's their way of shaming. It's not your year. We let you lead the league in scoring. Remember Harding. And look historically, people who lead the league in scoring. How far did they really go? Look at all them years Harding led the league in scoring. So you see this script, and I'm sorry. But yeah, that Memphis game, Ja is better. Ja might have a better career. Ja got put in a better situation. He got put in a better situation. Definitely. Little stronger organization, little stronger team. Coach been there for a minute. You got a new coach. But Pelicans going to be all right. I mean, for some reason, they want ball down there. Jay is a hooper, yeah. You remember Woolworths? Yeah. My cousin worked there forever. Ames, Coulter. Okay, Rocky, yeah. That's where the sit-ins, A&T is known for the sit-ins at the Woolworths. Like from A&T, the Woolworths counter from A&T is in the Smithsonian, because this is where the sit-ups, the sit-ins, excuse me, this is where the sit-ins that A&T basically started, because the sit-ins at A&T was before the sit-ins in Tennessee. And so the sit-ins at A&T, I used to work with one of these dudes that was in the sit-ins. This is a statue of him and shit. Dave, I'd have to look them all up. But Dave was, I used to work in the water department. In the first summer, they had Dave working in the water department. And this dude was one of them dudes. And I didn't even know it. And my mentor, that was the engineer, he was like, you know who that is? I'm like, no. He's like, that's Dave. Dave went to A&T with the sit-ins. I'm like, really? And he was about my mentor's age. He was about his age, I'm guessing. I mean, this cat graduated from high school. Yeah. And so that must be maybe slightly younger. But like all them dudes, I remember this. All them dudes was kind of messed with it too. So, but I don't even know how I got on that. Oh, but yeah, Woolworths. Do you think they? No, they love Curry. They love Curry. You know, this is the funny thing. And okay, look at it like this. I went to the store and I had to get something. And again, a lot of the way they move these energies is you look at the magazines. You see the energies they're trying to move. Guess who was on the cover of one of these magazines? Curry's wife. Curry's wife is on the cover of the magazine. So if you look at how they try to move energy, him losing but pushing her as the new magazine cover kind of is the give or take that I was seeing in that. I was like, okay. And that was when I remember seeing it, and I was like, that made me for sure. I was like, watch this game tonight. But what I don't understand with him is there's no other player that they keep the camera on as much as him. The little short video I made of him losing, there was another one where they was just showing he just went out because, again, he couldn't play defense. They put a better defensive team in there. So he's on the sideline. When he first went to the sideline, the camera was on him for about 3 minutes. And it didn't make any sense. They was talking or doing something about a call. The camera stayed on him. And I'm like, this motherfucker ain't even in the game. When he was hurt the season before COVID, he's on the bench doing this shit. And the camera cuts over to him sitting down. And he ain't even playing. And he's getting all this camera time for sitting on the bench. Everything he did, the camera was constantly on him. So that tells you it's a psyop for him. They're pushing him. They want to keep him in your mind. That's why they're there. Like they got on LeBron because they was sitting up in the booths. Like, why we got to sit down there? Then they kind of got on him. They was up in the booth drinking wine. Bubba's got on him. Hey, Nicole, thank you for joining me. Curry's wife would be for the streets. That's funny. She stay in the media too much. They were saying something about when she got her imitation boob, she regretted it. I thought that was funny. I kind of did. I kind of thought that was funny. About that. So, I don't know, guys. And then the hockey games was pretty good. The Jets is up 2-0. Nobody thought that they would be up like that. Okay. Guess I didn't put nothing there. So I'm glad that they got rid of him. I really am. I just, his skill level, and it was showing the one-sidedness of the team. The one-sidedness of Green is, it hurts you having him out there. Where if you don't have 5 scorers, they showed you how if they scripted him being contained, he can be contained. You see, where LeBron and them couldn't really contain him, and they probably had a little quicker players, perhaps. But that was the thing they were showing, is that he can't be contained these other games. Why couldn't other teams do that? Make Green be a shooter. Because it's almost like you play a box in 2. When you play a box in 2, you play a diamond. Everybody diamonds in the back. There's zone behind that. You have one man go play the top, and you got 2 men back. I even wonder, you could go a box and one, and then if the wings fall out, you can fall out, but then you can double team off it. You can push him into the double teams. I mean, it's all kind of ways, and you're just saying this one man can beat everybody. Like, it's nothing about checking in the backcourt. Don't nobody check him in the backcourt. Start double teaming him when he bring the ball up. Play a 1-3-1 zone. Now, when Clay was there, they had consistent shooters. They helped these other dudes a whole bunch. Oh, and then for Memphis, the big dude from Michigan State that looked old was going bald. Number 2, I think he wears, a big fellow, big 6'9", 6'10" dude. He hits one in the corner. And I know everybody was like, now why didn't you show that basket manipulation? Remember the big dude from Michigan State? He played the end of the game. I was impressed. And I was like, somebody's going like, why didn't you show that dude? Because it was definitely, he shot one from the corner. It was like a missile the way it moved. It like kind of curved, like almost like it was going to hit the side of the basket and curved in. But I didn't do that. I admit I didn't do that. Beautiful day up here. Again, was preparing all day to see my daughter compete, which is fun. Costumes are really weird. They didn't go heavily on the makeup. My daughter, this is the truth. My children, one of our traits is definitely just our eyebrows are naturally enhanced looked. Like my oldest son, we have almost identical eyes, other than he has 31-year-old eyes. But his eyebrows are really, you would notice them just looking at him. I noticed my daughter is the same way. My 15-year-old daughter, she's the same way. I don't think my 30-year-old daughter, I don't think her she looked more like her mama. So she doesn't really have my eye as far as I can see. But my 15-year-old daughter and my younger daughter, and she just hit hers a little bit, and the difference was astronomical. She didn't cake it on. She just did them a little bit. And it was funny where they looked so good. It almost looked like she had the little kind of a slightly butterfly. I mean, it looked that kind of perfect. My mother was sitting there with her in the back, was like, wow, look at your eyebrows. My mother was laughing at her. I mean, but just like, wow. And she still got disconnected. I mean, she's got the baby hairs in here, and she still gets the baby hairs in her neck. You know, she still gets that kind of stuff. Her hair is down to here in her back, and she cut off like that much a couple years ago, and it is still like to the middle of her back. So, but her mother has long hair too. So she got imitation boobs. Yeah, Rocky. She got imitation boobs. That's what she said. Said she regretted getting them in. Wait, your update, your finals prediction. Woke, I'm still staying. I'm still going with the Sixers. The Sixers played the game yesterday. So Sixers played yesterday. Pacers lost, right? Pacers lost. So whoever beat the Pacers yesterday, I'm old man. But that team plays the Sixers. I still say Sixers. I'm still going with the Lakers and the Sixers. Yeah, because the Lakers are going to be in a good spot. The Lakers beat them. They're going to be a really good spot. Now, I said this before. If Golden State would have gotten to that 8, they could have. If Golden State would have beat Utah, they would have been in a really good spot. But the Lakers being the number 2 seed is they're going to take that spot, and that's going to help them as it goes through. It's going to help them being in the spot where the number 2 people moving through. So I think that I still think it's going to be LeBron again. I think that is the meal ticket, and that is where it's going to get the most fans. Did you guys notice in the Golden State game? No. Did you notice all the people camera side? Did everybody notice that? How many people were sitting camera side? You didn't have a lot of people sitting under the basket. They had that pretty much empty. But if you looked under the stands from the camera down, because the camera's opposite of the court, unless they do the shot closer up, it's still the same spot. But there was a lot of stain, and I thought that was really that put a lot of excitement, a lot of energy I thought, because when Golden State was going off, again, you had people courtside too. Well, maybe they were slightly back from courtside, but you had a lot of people like right there on the edge of the court, and a lot of people sitting in them stands under the camera. And so it was kind of that. I think that's a good strategy to be smart enough. I still don't understand why they just don't let motherfuckers in. Just let motherfuckers in, quit playing these games. It was like they said this, and this is what they said. They're going to make children wear this shit in the fall, forcing the thing, the plunge. But grade school children and high school children, the head of the teachers union, I think the head said that instead of the science and the things to get everybody involved with the plunge, the children got to still wear masks. Thought that was interesting. But I'm going to release a video after this. I ain't going to say nothing about it. I'll release the video and see if they take it down or not. But I'm not going to say nothing about it. So, Spence versus Pac-Man. It's funny. The modern martial artists put up a thing. What did they think? Everybody think. A poll. And I put Spence by points. But I really think Spence will knock him out. Because he puts so much pressure. And that dude is what? He's 200 years old. Now, this is a Spence probably, I would say Spence is a synthetic. I don't understand how he survived that crash. I really don't. How do you survive being thrown out of a car? And you can fight within a year and ain't got no head issues or nothing. Now, I've said this before. I took a couple classes of accident investigation. And I guess I was certified to do the shit, because when we had accidents, we had to do our own. We didn't call people to come in. We had to do our own investigation of the accident. We had to draw the little pictures and shit. We had to measure, do all the measurements. So I know what happens to a body. When you get thrown out of a car, your body's still going that fast. So I wouldn't be surprised if Spence is a synthetic. But saying that, I still got I got Spence to beat him. Spence is just too dominant. Pacquiao is not gonna handle a pressure fighter like the Spence that fought the last fight. Again, I think that's a synthetic. That was the best Spence ever, and there's no way Pacquiao a little littler too. And then Fury, I don't know. I like what the brother said on Craig Facts. I like what Duncan said. Duncan said that Fury can't fight in England because of their dirtiness. Because of their dirtiness. Of them getting caught cheating. So that shows you that I don't know. I looked at what Wilder said after the fight. He said, I hope you enjoyed the show. Now, Duncan said that he had this bone broke here. That's what made his ear bleed. And it was his head was dented in. And it's like, I guess they did some studies, and it's impossible for a fist to break that part of your brain. Just can't do it. So, or that part of your skull. It's hard, like to understand, like I was saying with Tyson. Tyson made a lot of mistakes. He left himself open, off balance. I mean, if you really were a real fight analyzer, you saw all the flaws he had. And in the fixed fights where you catch him. But he had a lot of flaws. I mean, he was always off balance. He was always open for counters. So saying that, Wilder is similar in some ways where he's off balance a lot. And you've got to give it to Fury as far as the head movement, the body movement, the angles. I mean, he's just masterful to watch. I don't know. He's a good fighter to watch. Now, was the last fight kind of iffy? It appears there was something off. Can't say that what they're saying about. It's hard to say. Something was definitely off. So, but I still think Wilder could beat him. He has the skills. I was watching. When I was doing that thing about Vasquez. Vasquez just got convicted He had sex with a 13-year-old girl. They didn't say how many years he got, but he got convicted. He's the two-time All-Star. And so I was rewatching the fight. That's how I caught that trailer thing coming over. And so some people are just so sick. But so I like Fury. I like Fury too. Lakers and Nets finals. I still do not see them. Marcus, I don't see them letting Harden. I say, yeah, maybe finals. Definitely, if it's that finals, is LA going to win. They're not going to let Harden win. They're just not. Unless he sits out the whole thing. He sits out the whole thing, maybe. Took his shot. He passed up shooting one. Yeah. Washington. Danny Green on the 76ers, they go into the finals now. Yeah, I think so. I think CJ, I definitely think. You see LA and Brooklyn, PJ, with relation to Jackie Robertson. He did go to UCLA, yeah, and he played in Brooklyn. Reason he kind of retired because they moved to LA. Well, he got traded. Right before they moved to LA, they traded him. But, he went into baseball late anyway. He was 26, 27 when he went to the minors. I don't think he went to the major league till he was 28. I think when they won it, he was like his best year. When they won it, he was 30, 31. So he was fairly old. They cannot force the plunge right now. They can't work. They can put pressure on you. They'll make you wear that mask while you're working. They can ask. It is not against your HIPAA violation. No, they can't force you to, but they've been putting a lot of stress on people, Unique. Yeah, the card looked done. Spence maybe was cloned. No, I say more of a synthetic than cloned. They that would have taken too long. Lakers versus Brooklyn next year. The NBA know they want to have butts and seats for these finals. That's a good point, Fred. That is a good point. Heard the car crash Spence was due to the rapper crew shooting at him. Interesting. I hadn't heard that before. Thank you for sharing that. Why though? I wonder what he did. Why or adjust his fight and take it more serious? I think he took that last one serious, but those punches, I don't know. He didn't respond well to him, and he's been hit before, but he didn't respond. And I don't know. That dent in his head wasn't normal. They Shane Water last fight during Black History Month. That could be a part of it too. And that's why I like when he said, "I hope y'all like the show." I've got to take a quick give me about 45 seconds. I'll be right back. Oh, it didn't take me that long. Okay. Sorry about that. So I don't know. I like Fury. I really do. I like watching him fight. I thought he would have gave Joshua a good kind of turn too. Sprint's fans with the rapper Yellow Beezy was beefing with, so could be some truth to it. Wow, Marcus. Okay. Nets versus Lakers, but I have the Mavs upsetting the Clippers. It's a good point. Because we know they're gonna put Dallas back in there. Now, this is one thing they're definitely gonna do. They're going to put, like, if you think Jay Morant, Zion, and Luka gonna get in the finals before them two. Now, not to say them two not gonna get in the finals, but Luka will make it before they make it. I don't think it's Luka's year, but they're gonna give Cuban another thing because you can see what they're setting up. Now, Utah, same thing. But remember, Utah ain't never won one. I don't see them letting Utah ever win one. just as Detroit Lions will never win the Super Bowl, they're not going to let Utah win the championship. Utah won an ABA championship, and that's about all they're going to get. That is about all they're going to get. They let a average BYU team. Remember, they let them win the national championship. Tyler, what was the quarterback's name? He didn't play good NFL football. Ty Detmer from BYU. Remember, they won the national championship. That's all they get. That's the closest they gonna get. Ain't no money. Wasn't like even with Stockton and the Malone. It was Jordan, but they didn't. They wasn't gonna let them win. They lost a lot of money letting San Antonio win. That's why they kind of like broke their wins up, because there's no money in them. They're definitely gonna push Luka. That's good points. Whoops. Thank you, Marcus. That's some good information. I didn't know none of that. They let Toronto get one. But keep this in mind now. When you think about Toronto was one of the original. The first game was the Knicks and Toronto, I believe, was the very first game under the merger, because there was other leagues, and then the NBA merged with a few of these leagues. So Toronto, that's why they won one, because they one of the original teams that played in the first technically NBA game. I think it was New York and Toronto. So that's why, King. That's why they let him get one. Yeah, Toronto's original. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's what that was for. For them being one of the original teams of the NBA. So that's what that's at least that's the feel I got. That's the feel I got, because that shot of Kawhi in the corner, it was a lot of help. That shot had a lot of help, but it was a system I had been showing, the same system. I tell you, back in I want to say this was 16. I put a video out. Yeah, I think it was 16. I put it on my YouTube. But it was Golden State, and I had one of Green. And it's funny, I did a replay of it, and it didn't show as well. But when I originally did the 16, I think they won it in 16, didn't they? They showed Green shooting one, and you know how they like to follow the ball from the player, back in? It showed the ball doing rotation, and then when the ball gets near the basket, the ball stops rotating and just drops in. It was one of the best ones I'd ever done. The ball, you literally see the ball. I caught the rotation going in, and something just stops the rotation and drops the ball in. It's like impossible. It's impossible. But that's what happened. That is what happened. And so we know how they get help. Yeah, that shot in Philly game was so sloppy. And it was so for anybody to really just follow anything, that was very suspect. But that was the old system. But when Curry made that one, made all that noise, I was like, you trying to disprove what I'm showing by having him make one that makes noise. Well, we're not fooled by that. Oh, tell you what, my neck was a little sore. Use this CBD stuff. They're not sponsoring, but this stuff put some on my neck. Wow, really helped. I just took a muscle relaxer, but man, and I did put the stimulus gun on my neck too. So. Overstand. Are there magnets involved? Well, I mean, like somebody was commenting and saying the balls is made out of leather. They ain't been paying attention. Because remember, years ago, they started with the synthetic balls, and the players rejected those synthetic balls, so they came up with a new one. Oh, you know what? Maybe I didn't even read this. Let me check. So ball's been synthetic. So it's some people have suggested that some of the missile technology is used in the ball, and it's on just on a smaller scale. Like you know how you can do a science project and shoot a rocket up, so you can have a type of control. We know you can control a moving gyro. What is a gyroscope? You can control it. You can make a gyroscope go and control it like that. And so some suggested that, but it appears like it is a mixture of that, but it's attraction to the rim through the magnetics in the ball. And let me see where I buried this. See if I can find this. Here, right here. Here we go. This goes with this. Check this out. It says Chiefs quarterback Pat Mahomes wants the NFL to go high tech to improve officiating. The NFL has a microchip in every football as part of its. Okay. Assholes. You see what they just did? Turn that shit on? This shit really don't usually play on here. This is some bullshit.
Some guy that no one knows can throw out this ridiculous hot take and it drives people crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Like, who cares what some guy knows? I don't know who the guy is. And he says Tyreek Hill's the greatest deep threat of all time.
Oh my goodness. It would not turn him off. You see what they're doing? They're trying not to let me read this shit. This is interesting. Because this shit never plays on the phone. It's like
some guy that no one knows can throw out this ridiculous hot take and it drives people
oh my goodness,
crazy.
They're not going to let me do it.
Like,
they're not going to let me do it.
Some guy knows.
I can't shut him up. Anyway, they admit that this article about Pat Mahomes admits that there's microchips in the ball. They're admitting that this stuff is in the ball. Okay, I'll do that. All right, so if they want to, so they already admitted that there are microchips part of its data tracking system. This data is sometimes revealed to the public. There we go. But Mahomes says the chip should be used to alert officials when the ball crosses the goal line. I've always thought that this is interesting. They're already admitting that there are chips in the balls, and this is what Mahomes says. I always thought the chip in the ball had to happen sometime, where if you cross the line, it tells you it's a touchdown. Mahomes said, the biggest thing to me is when they get in the pile by the end zone, there's literally no way to tell if they're in the end zone or not. So now they're saying they want to more, but they admit that it's a chip in the ball. So that's if they're putting electronics in the ball, they are admitting that there's kick manipulation with the grip gloves. Rocky said, your neck was sore too. I had to lay down 2 days ago, like 30 minutes. Now it's right side of my neck is stiff. I'm not sure what I did. I stopped wearing this all the time, because it was making my neck sore. So I'm not sure. I just put it on before this. It's part of the costume, My right side was jacked up. My neck was on the right side, it's stiff a lit. Had crazy, a car accident recently, but I know something made it happen. I also felt, wow. Wow, I'm glad you're okay, Overstand. Wow, I'm glad you're okay. Exactly. What do they need to track? Exactly. Relevation method, they call it. Hey, he's back. I'm glad to see. I know Spirit or my protectors made sure I walked out the hospital same day. Car total. So grateful. It was bananas. Yeah, I flipped in the car a few times. And they say I had to go back and kind of change it a little bit. But, it's a real thing where you can move your head a little bit, and it is a difference between having your neck broken and just having about 400 stitches in your head. Because that's something I had to adjust. Because I lived where, like in my accident, I lived a reality where I broke my neck. I did. I lived that reality. And just to show you how this reality does. So I adjusted, so I didn't. I had to adjust. One of me had to adjust another one of me. So just moving my head a few inches made me not break my neck. But there was another dude that, and this is the way energy goes. And I didn't wish this on the dude, but just to show you how when you do something like that, it is still taking a toll. It was another dude when I moved to Michigan in '86 that was around my age, same kind of neck injury from a car accident. And so I can't say because it shifted to him. But the way this matrix works, it wants you to know this, like, yeah. And again, I didn't learn about this 2 years later. After I kind of saw my abilities, I was like, oh, okay. And then that energy went somewhere else. And even though I never really knew the dude, he was my friend's friend, but I knew that happened to him. So we're glad you're healthy. Hey, Doe. Yeah, Doe, you saw the commercial. Yeah, for the grip gloves. That's what they call it, the balls with the grip gloves. I get that from the commercial. The same commercial. The first time I saw the single grip glove, ball and grip glove, the first they showed is a ball like Kick 'em Like Beckham. It was just on one of the, how the cable channels be having bullshit shows, and they was kicking them like Beckham. And then they said we also offer, and then they switched to football, where it was only the one. Long as you had the one glove, you could catch it. Now, what Doe talking about is the movie that Jonathan, maybe Jonathan didn't send it to me. Someone else sent it to me. And please forgive me. Somebody speak up if you're watching. But that ball, that video showed how the ball is made, and it showed how they use them. And so it's a real thing. This is a real thing. So when we say grip gloves, these dudes, it helps them. I go back again. I've been trying to find this Sports Illustrated article. The Sports Illustrated article talked about the future of the game. But the only part that is really, really from that article is the gloves. They talked about gloves that would guarantee you catch it. And this was the 80s, written in the 80s, about football in the 2000s. So this was 30 plus years ago article, back when Sports Illustrated was still magazines. But some of the other things they predicted, like enhanced jumping abilities, hasn't come yet. But the grip gloves was the one thing that the article that still stood what was used today. And it's a mocking, we are showing it. My other channel, the grip gloves videos did well. People understand it. So it's just entertainment. But as I said before, I don't like. It's like even Brother Kwame. You have a platform that you could show. Don't like again. He's kind of reversed it. You talking about the same brothers, other than a few things about the lawyers. You back and forth about the brothers still. When you could bust this whole system open, tell everybody how it's fixed. You got the perfect platform now to tell about how all this shit is fixed. You talked about how Michael Jordan fucked you around, didn't like you because the trade he wanted from Alton Brand didn't go through. Talk about how fixed the games are. Really put some real information out there. Because you know what he said? He was like, well, if they put money towards his thing, this is his idea of America. Not job training, but putting sports facilities back all across America. That's his great plan. That's still making us be entertainers. The plan is, if you're really serious, start these apprentice programs, teaching people how to do electronics, teaching people how to build houses, teaching farmers, I mean, this is the practical kind of shit we need. We don't need more sports facilities. We need more hands-on how to do shit. That's what the young people need. Mechanics. Training them how to use these new computers that go on these cars. So that's the shit. Now, we don't need more youth centers unless them youth centers is going to teach real skills. You open up these youth centers and you start training them for electronics, plumbing, framing houses, real skills. Farmers. You live down in South Carolina, you should ask for motherfucking farmers. Show young people how to farm. It's one thing I have to say about A&T. A&T is an agricultural school as well. One of my teammates was in Bill Clinton shit. He did something agriculture. It was under Bill Clinton. He was one of Clinton's guys. One of my teammates. For 8 years, fucking with Clinton. Some type of agriculture advisor. Oh. Yeah, like Crazy Sarge said, how to forge and smelt stuff to recycle. I mean, why do you think they want these old phones? You can break down what's in a phone. That's why they want them back. There's shit in these phones. Hey, James, thank you for joining me. I almost did too much too soon. Felt so much better and got hell of a sore playing volleyball with some kids at work. But I'm healing really well through just amazing. Yeah, I need some pliers because my daughter, she went to try to I have a indoor outdoor volleyball, so we always set and shit. And she took the needle and just jabbed it because she jabbed because it just needed a little bit where she jabbed and broke the needle. She broke the spool off of my so I need some pliers to pull it out so we can pump her ball up. But I was thinking about taking her to the beach because we're gonna go to the pool. I think we're gonna go to the pool first, then maybe get something to eat, and then we're gonna go over to the beach and maybe take the volleyball and do some setting and just get her some work because she wants to play volleyball, which I am very in favor with. I could get up. I would say my family almost moved to California, and when I lived in California was chasing the football dream. I used to play volleyball too, and I did very well. The volleyball I was built for volleyball. If I would have been a child and had men's volleyball around, I would have been well in volleyball. I did well. Beach volleyball 2-on-2, I could play the shit out of that. My jumping ability, my quickness, yeah. So we're gonna go do that too, and then go ground at the lake. Lake probably be packed, but I don't care. We'll go over it. My son already told me if you wanna hook up with me tomorrow, come over before we go to the lake. It's gonna be 85, 86. It's gonna be nice tomorrow. So we're gonna spend the day outside. I'm gonna take her to the pool first and wear her out in the pool, and then we go from the pool because where my mother works, they have a pool and it's open. I mean, shit's open. Shit is open. Stores is open. Everything is open. When I went and got my beer, everybody's in there. I go in there like it's Cheers. Everybody's giving me high five and shit. They know me. I am just that kind of motherfucker. It's like everywhere I go, like we basically wore a mask in the little rec center. And it's funny, they told everybody to bring Cheers. So my daughter tells me this. So where we had to go was a good 40 minutes, maybe even 45. It was a nice little drive. Because I think we had to go to Rosemont, maybe. So we're like 20 minutes from the place. And my daughter says, oh, yeah, you guys need chairs. And we just look at her like, nobody's turning around. We had been driving for 20 minutes already. And then 20 more minutes to drive. And my daughter says, oh, yeah, you guys were supposed to bring chairs. So, again, I am very observant. So we get into the rec center. And I'm looking around. And I see chairs where the directors who's holding the event. because they did a couple of different levels. My daughter's on the higher level, so it's a couple. So there was a couple performances. So I'm looking up like they got chairs. There gotta be chairs in here, and like boom, I found where they had the chairs. So I took off, 4 chairs. Well, really it was just 3, and yeah. So that's thinking on because even when we went in, I'm like, I bet this place has chairs, and sure enough, they did. So yeah, volleyball is great. It's really again. I talk about Title IX and how that changed the way American women look, especially European women look better because of Title IX. I mean that is part of it. I've talked about that many times. They was tired of seeing Aunt B's. Now if you don't know who Aunt B was, look up Mayberry. They was tired of women looking like that. So they put in Title IX that gave money, rightfully so, to girls. Rightfully so. I've talked about my cousin's yearbook in '73. Men got football team, got shit, basketball team, got warm-ups, multiple uniforms. Then you looked at the girl basketball team, they had tape numbers. And then you looked at the girls volleyball team, they had tape numbers or pennies. So yes, it was so I understand that. But those other things was in mind too, to make a generation of women look better. You can't deny that. You follow Title IX and the trans people too. I mean, that was part of it as well. Robin Roberts was probably the first to benefit from that system. I almost regret not playing in high school. I did choir all 4 years. They wanted me to play ball, but I wasn't running anywhere near. That's funny. That's good though. Old looking chicks. I mean, but that's how women, like even my generation of women, European women would have big breasts, be boobsy, but they would be flat. And the legs just flat, skinny. And so now you see a different type of woman. But this was all because of Title IX. Again, we're about 3 generations from Title IX. I think the law was passed in '72. I think by 74, 75, when it started being enforced. So again, we're 40 years from that. So you see what I'm saying? We're about 3 generations of women doing these type of exercises. Just like I was saying, my daughter doing Baton, because of me being a receiver, that shit goes hand in hand. So all the abilities to do it is already in her because of me. And it's the same thing with volleyball. All the jumping ability. And I know what that will do for her physically. It will make her fitter too. The OG Karens. Overstand, I can sing. I've been told, uh-oh. We had to put you on here to get you to do the Christopher Williams. And let me apologize. I got to critiquing the games, and I forgot all about Brother James. I was supposed to bring Brother James on tonight. I got back. I went to the store. Yeah, see, I told him I was going to be back about 9. I didn't get back to about 10. And yeah, I did. I got back to about 10. Yeah. Because I had to drive my mother home. And so, yeah, I got back about 10. Yeah, because the stores was about to close. Because I went to McDonald's and it took forever because I hadn't eaten all day and I didn't really want to eat anything sugary. And so I grabbed it. That's why I got heartburn. I ate a McDonald's sandwich. But I got home. And so by the time I remembered after doing my videos, watching the game and the hockey games, I hit him a video. I'm like, man, I kind of forgot. So I'm sorry. Hopefully I can get in touch with him and bring him back on. James does have a channel, and I will shout it out. Let me find it. He's a good brother, a lot of experience. Oh, I got to do this too. He's got a lot of experience. Let's bring it, see where I can get it up. Oh shit, it's not giving me what I want. For some reason, yeah, I can't. Oh, here we go. I want people to look up his channel because he's just starting off. Also, my brother, Return of Thoth, Merlin and the Serpent. Read My Soul, Crazy Sarge, Conscious Daughter, Siova. I mean, these are people that we all need to. Here we go, James Branch. So yeah, check out James Branch. That's my guy, and I'm gonna hopefully have him on. So, and I've got to get the Awaken one back on. So I don't know when I can get One Divinance back on. It's probably never, but we'll see. But I think she's one video where I could make, like Siova said, I could make a video on just her technique and put it back out there for people. I do want to read a couple things. Yeah. So the Buddha was asked, what did he gain? So people asked the Buddha, what did he gain from meditation? And the Buddha said, I didn't gain shit. But he said, what I got rid of was stress, anger, jealousy, envy, the same thing. But it's like, that's what he got out of it. I want to throw this information out here too. See if this will load right. Because like I be listening to motherfuckers and they motherfuckers like, I know on the Killer Priest, motherfuckers said that the biggest pyramid in the world is in China. That is not right. The biggest pyramid in the world, and not only is this thing the biggest pyramid in the world, the biggest pyramid in the world is in Chola. Not only is it the biggest pyramid in the world, it is the biggest thing ever built by man. It is the biggest structure ever built by man. Now it's interesting reading this, the Spaniards, okay, this is what they say. This place had, just like I try to show you the days of movement, this place had the months. So they had the 13 months. They had temples for the months. So the Spanish, this is what they tell you. The Spanish said all the people didn't want to fight because they thought it was such a holy place, and the Spanish apparently murdered 3,000 people. The Spanish don't know it's a giant pyramid. They knew because the Spanish built a church. That's what they did in Mexico City. That's what they normally did. When they found these places, they knew the energy coming off of these places. This church is the oldest church built by Europeans in North America. And now they're looking at the pyramid part, exposing it. The motherfuckers knew. Because this is what they say. They say when the people knew that the Europeans were coming, they tried to hide the pyramid by burying it. That's what they say. And so they're saying that the Spanish Europeans just saw a mountain, which we know is a lie. They knew these energy centers, and they put that Christianity on these energy centers so they could have it. So it's spelled Choula. This is the church built on top of it from the 1900s. It's the oldest European structure on the continent. Is this? You can see the shapes. They know. It's equivalent to 9 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And people don't even really know much about it. And this is, I just said, to quote them, never mind the largest pyramid, it's the largest monument ever constructed anywhere by any civilization to this day. To the locals, it's aptly known as Taka Huta Pel, man-made mountain. Thanks to the church on top, it's the oldest continuously occupied building on the continent. So you don't think they're using that shit? So Chuchata. They think it was built in 300 BC. Now this is what's interesting. They first said that this was Aztec. The Aztecs didn't appear until about the 1300s in Mexico. So it's no way. But see, this is how they get sloppy. So we know the Aztecs don't come into Mexico until probably the 1300s. This shit is built in 300 BC. And the same people that built the Pyramid of the Sun. So this is more than likely probably an omen area too. They don't like giving that up to the omens, but more than likely built by the omens as well. So Cortez called it the most beautiful city outside of Spain. And so when they ravaged it, they still kept the Catholic Church knocked out the 13. They knocked down the 13 buildings and used the 12 buildings. So they kept the 12 buildings of the monks. So this is, you can look this up. You can look this up yourself. Again, Chuchala, Choula. And again, in 26, they look. Oh, I'll say this. I am more inclined to think that we are probably going into the sixth sun. There was a little bit different about the sun today. I don't think it was a simulator, but if they bring back the new sun and the old sun and the new sun's about to be the end of this fifth sun's time, and maybe because they brought it back today. It was the real sun today. I noticed here. Because we were riding back. I was like, oh, okay. They brought it back, and the intensity was a little greater. And so probably the sixth sun is going to be released next week. Now, was it going to be the simulator? Hard to say. But it's going to be a change on the 26th, which is, again, the day out of time. So still trying to put together what I want to do for that. Because this full moon coming is going to be a red full moon, blood moon, and we're going to be around the day of the time. So we've got a lot of energy. I'll say this: when I got done, I meditated last night, and it was like I was still in the perfect mind frame to meditate, and meditated earlier today. And so there's a lot of energy going around. Have they figured out the big ones? Yeah, it's in Mexico. Yeah. It's in Mexico. Okay, thank you guys. Yep, it's in Mexico. Have they figured out how big the ones are under the waves? I think the biggest one under the waves is in Mexico. It appears like this is even bigger than that. But yeah, there's a few off of, not Mexico, but Japan. But apparently this is bigger than. Hey, Jesse Lynn, thank you for joining me. So I forgot to give a couple things I want to do. I forgot to give a new crystal out, and the new crystal is going to be selenite. And off the top of my head, one thing about selenite is, again, this one comes from the Nicaea Crystal Caves. At least that's according to, what's his name? Robert Simmons. This comes from Heaven and Earth, and this is advertised as coming from Nicaea. Now, most of the time he sends crystals, he gives a little card. And this one didn't have the little card. But anyway, this is supposedly from the Nicaea Caves of the Crystal Caves. And selenite, again, it will never hold negative energy. It also can charge or release energies from crystals. And so this is the card energy. In the ancient world, selenite protects against the wandering of the mind. It evokes mental clarity and divine inspiration. Spirituality is vital for you. You are a translucent soul who moves fluidly through time. Use insights wisely. Avoid confusion with present. You see people's hearts, what motivates them. Do not be manipulated or too eager to please. Stand by what you know. You have a gift of clarity, mental flexibility with the power to make excellent decisions. A situation is unpredictable no matter how solid it appears. Be prepared for challenges and changes. Banish confusion. Clarity is needed. The frequency is high. Timing is Taurus and Cancer. And Judy Hall. And then Judy Hall. These are kind of neat. The selenite eggs are kind of neat. And then there's selenite wands. Again, this is a type of wand. Translucence has a very fine vibration and brings clarity of mind, opening the crown and higher crown chakras, and assessing angelic angelic consciousness and higher guidance. Pure selenite is a link to the light body, helping to anchor it in Earth's vibration. It is a calm stone that instills deep peace and is excellent for meditation or spiritual work. Telepathy enhanced by each person holding a piece of pure vibration selenite. The purest translucent selenite has an ethereal quality, is said to inhabit the place between light and matter. An ancient stone, it is nonetheless one of the most powerful crystals for the new vibration on Earth. It can be used to form a protective grid around the house. I've talked about that. I live under one of these, creating a safe and quiet space that does not allow outside influences. Used internally in the concerns of the house. A large piece of selenite placed in the house ensures an atmosphere and peaceful atmosphere. Selenite wands can be used to detach entities from the aura or preventing anything from external influencing the mind. Carrying the imprint of that all's happened in the world, selenite reaches over lives and is very useful for checking the progress made for accessing the plan for the present life between live states. It pinpoints lessons and issues that are still being worked upon, shows how they can be best resolved. It can be used for scrying, to see in the future to attain what has happened in the past. They do have selenite mirrors. Psychologically, selenite assists judgment, insight. Mentally, it clears confusion and aids in seeing the deeper picture. It brings about a consciousness understanding what has been occurring at the subconscious level. This is a powerful dispenser and stabilizers for erratic emotions. And these are other kinds. Fishtail. This is green selenite. This is what's called desert rose. So then there's blue, green, fishtail, desert rose. So, and just a little more from Melody. This isn't very long from her. It can be used to access past lives. The mineral provides of clarity of the mind, expanding one's awareness of the self and one's surrounding. They use to access past lives as well as future ones. The future lives being those which are probable at this time. If one's physical life proceeds in the direction in which is now going, this access is provided by rubbing the crystalline structure with a finger or thumb, not a fingernail. During this activation process, when the meditative state is attained, the visual images will appear. Access to the future is also compatible to this life. No one will be presented with situations which are very likely to occur in this life, on this plane. It has been used to decrease retinence and to assist one in the acquisition of materialistic pursuits related to business. It assists one in the issues of judgment and provide the required insight and ameliorative energies to promote justice during adjudication of disputes. It uses the sharp sword of awareness. You can get the swords too. It can be used to provide both flexibility in one's nature and strength in one's decision. So one of the most inexpensive crystals you can get that can do a lot for you. Selenite is one of my favorites. I keep them by my windows using black stones. Learn that from you, Starface, along with black stones. Well, I'm glad you did. I found the channel at least. I hope it's the right one. Thank you. Oh, no problem, Tina. Thank you, Anise. What's the name of the book? I showed a bunch of books. This is Judy Hall's Crystal Bible. And of course, this is from her card set. And this was from Melody. She has a better book, and I got to start looking it up because she has an older book with pictures. Helps with having the pictures, it really does. Especially looking up to see if the crystal is. But the other book is Robert Simmons, The Big Book of Stones. I didn't read his thing about it, even though I might read it when I get done. All right. Everybody ready to do another exercise? Everybody ready? We're going to keep doing exercises. So, pretty much this is what Bobby Hemmett and them was selling. It's pretty much selling this. They made a bunch of copies, something very similar to this. So this is something you can do. So to do scrying, you can do something this as simple as this. And you can go over it and make it as plasticky. That's not the word, is it? But you can go over it as much as you want. So, Crazy Sarge, if you'll amplify for me, I would appreciate it if you're still around. It would help if you could amplify. So if you guys can either do it by pen or if you have crayon, you can use pen. I think the one I did the other night, last night, was this. So you can do this. And I'll tell you, it was like I can get so deep in this stuff where I was staring at this and forgot about the damn blue lines. Because I'm looking at all my patterns and then the lines pop out. I'm like, well, damn, I forgot about them. So, but this is a way to communicate, guys. So you can even do something as simple I forgot I got this. There we go. All right. That helped. All right. I mean, if you want to cheat, you could just do some little black dots. I mean, you could really just like take the paper and you could even do some little black dots. I don't want to sound like a reeky motherfucker, but I mean, you could just do a dot. I mean, whatever way you can connect right now, you can even do a dot. That's okay. But you really gonna have to look at the dot. Those that want to participate. So Crazy Sarge, if you're ready. The hell? Take off these damn rings. I wasn't even thinking. All right. So if you participate, that's cool. If you don't, that's cool too. It's interesting. I didn't think about this. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I'll go like this. I'll make it like this. Even if you don't want to do the drawing, just concentrate. Take a moment with me to concentrate. And I'm going to be like silent for a minute and I'm going to send some energy through the mirror. Now, if you want to do this, if you want to do either one of these, this or the dots, either way is fine with me. But if you don't, just concentrate. Concentrate, like if you can put just a black dot in your consciousness, or even just concentrate. Let me see how I want to put the energy. Yeah, that's about the best I could tell you is put the black dot, just like kind of think of a black dot. If you don't want to follow, you can just close your eyes for a few minutes and then just try to put a black dot in your consciousness. That might be enough. Now, this is just going to be a short message, and if Crazy Sarge can amplify the message too, it would help. Yeah, just going to be a short message, and I'm not trying to attach to anybody, nothing like that. I wiped this thing off, then I didn't touch it. Okay, let's send it out. I said it wasn't going to be long, but I want to keep making it longer and longer. So just reflect. If you got the message, you ain't got to tell me. You ain't got to really do nothing. if you felt the message. I'll reveal the message at the end of the show. So if you was able to get it, that's okay. But I want to keep working on this because this is also one of the ways of ancient communications. Just as I talked about, they had the long cans, you can put the cans together. They've had that. So it's obvious that communication was a thing that ain't nothing new. It's nothing new. And we had these mirrors, we had crystal balls in America, we had the skulls, ways of communication. So the stuff that Bell did, and I've told the story, Bell beat, this is the way the machine works. The machine puts the same ideas out here. I mean, the machine has worked for a certain part of this civilization, the mind. And just as it gave Tesla a part of it, it gave Edison a part of it. Just as it was given Bell, who created the telephone, he got the patent in within hours of somebody in Germany. Just as the dude Marconi lied and copied all of Tesla's information to create the radio. That was still taught when I was a child, when in fact Tesla invented the radio. Tesla sued Marconi and showed that Marconi copied all of his stuff. So this is a way to communicate away from the me or the mind. The mind, excuse me. I'm going to call it by its name. It's spelled me, but it's pronounced M-Y. So wanted to put that out there. My selenite is fragile. As eggs cool, more sturdy. Okay. Oh, the first one. The first one I read was the Crystal Bible. Or no, excuse me. This one was Judy Hall cards, where you can get the cards, the crystal cards. So this was the first one I read. And then the second one I read was the Crystal Bible. So I'm sorry. Which this has some of the base ones. But like, she don't put them all in. She makes you keep buying her books. She puts so many in, but you got to keep buying. It's like 3 or 4 other ones. Like, I don't think Sugarite is in this one. Maybe not even Motivite. Sebastian, what's happening? Thank you for joining. I'm smooth, though. Thank you. And then focus on the screen. It will start as a rectangle, then turn around. Thank you. Thank you for helping, though, Crazy Sarge. Thank you. He did whatever he could to screw Tesla. Yeah, I mean, he told Tesla it was going, if he could figure some shit out, he'd give him 50 racks. And then was like, I'd have fucked him up. Yeah, I'd have fucked him up. But that's the funny thing about Tesla. Tesla lost millions. And it's like he just took it on the chin. Westinghouse lost millions when they tried to put their thing together. But he made a motor that Edison couldn't do. Just like Latimer. I mean, I talked about it's a light bulb in New York of Edison's that's been on for 100 years. There's another one out in San Francisco at another fire station. These light bulbs they've lived for 100 years. They've been lit. Both of them are using Latimore's filament. Because remember, Edison couldn't do the filament. It's Latimore's filament that was used. So yeah, he fucked Tesla, but if Tesla was a real dude, that's why the government took off. Well, not just the government, Trump. Trump's uncle worked for the OSS, which was the CIA, which turned into the CIA. And when Tesla died, Trump's uncle broke into Tesla's room and took all his papers before his family was able to get there. They shamed him so bad. He was living on a pension. They felt sorry for him and let him live his life out in a hotel. Apartment, but a hotel. But yeah, he should have been sterner. Like, he could have sued Eisenhower. Like, he was stupid not to get a contract. He should have got a contract from Edison. Yeah, he should have got it in writing that he was gonna pay him, and he should have sued him. Same way with Westinghouse. Because I think J.P. Morgan was the one that really like pulled the plug when he was about to give everybody cell phones. Tesla was about to give everybody cell phones, and they pulled the plug on the money. He was about to fuck them up. He was going to put cell phones around the 1900s. So imagine where people in technology, if he'd did that back then, wouldn't he never even needed Bell telephone. He was about to fuck them up, saying telephones like we got now without having all these goddamn cords and wires. I mean, you got to be kind of old now to know a telephone inside the house telephone with a 20-inch cord. Or the feeling, I mean, it's the same feeling the first time you get your cell phone now when you got a phone in your room. It's equivalent feeling, but the phone in your room wasn't a computer. These motherfuckers is little computers. No doubt about that. Nino, thank you for joining. But yeah, look up, I think it's, is it Fred Trump? But yeah, Trump is the one. Trump's uncle was the one that broke into Tesla's room and broke into his safe because his family didn't get there in time when he passed. Which sounded like they probably poisoned him or something. Party line phone. I used to have an old party line phone. I kept it for a long time. I don't know whatever happened to it. I had it one day and the next day it disappeared. But I bought a house, the first house I bought with my first wife. That phone had one in the basement. Then somebody just left it. So I had one for a long time. It disappeared one day. I moved so much. When I broke up with my wife and moved out the house. So I probably took it. With party lines, I've talked about that many times. Motherfuckers just be entertained, listening to motherfuckers talk. It was like if you lived in the country, you all shared basically one phone. It was cheaper. I imagine like this, say it was like 6 families, and 6 families shared one phone, and you paid 15 cents a month. And you could call people, but if somebody was on the line, you'd have to wait till they got done. And the person could pick up and listen to you. So you didn't really have any privacy. Remember on Green Acres, how they had the phone up, they had to climb up the goddamn pole. Like they wouldn't make the line go into the house. They had to climb up the goddamn pole, which is kind of funny writing. But it's just showing you how goofy the shit could be. Can you share a little more about that circle, please? Oh, the purpose and the benefits of it? Sure. Well, again, holding this energy, like something like this, you don't even need to gaze in it. But like I told Crazy Sarge, let me take these rings off. I don't know if I had two smaller ones, and one of them had the ohmic in the mirror. Now I don't know if I drew the ohmic in, might have, but this is a way that people communicated. Again, when they took stuff from Montezuma's, they have his robe too, but they also took his mirror. He had a big one, and one of his people saw in one of these mirrors Cortez and them before they came 10 years before they came. So the benefit of this is you could do ancestor communications with these mirrors. And I don't know, like it's cool to put up an altar, but if you really like, okay, let me tell you a great benefit, and then I've talked about, maybe this not being enough for people, but grief is one of the greatest benefits for one of these. But I say that kind of holding back, because if you grieve and you do need to touch base with that person one more time, you could do that with these mirrors. Now, this is the trap, is people say that'll be enough, because really, I'll be honest, quantifier. But really the way it would happen is you would look in this mirror and you would try to connect with that one recently deceased, and you might just get a smile. You might just glimmer at them. It's like you'll be looking at this mirror and they'll show up. And they might smile at you or just look their natural way. Now, I say what the problem is for most people, that ain't enough. It's almost like it becomes a drug after that. It's like, well, I want longer communication. Can't promise that. Now, some people could get that. But you have to be satisfied what will show up for grief. Because a lot of times you just need to know that that person crossed over and they come back and you could look at them. So that's one of the benefits. Another benefit is a way of being telepathic with your family. Because each family member had one of these and you started working with it, you would figure it out. I'm saying if 4 families really used these, you would be able to communicate with each other. And the more you work with this, the more the answers and the more the communication would come out. Now, this one, so far, the best ones I found come from China so far. The ones I got from Mexico, they didn't even do both sides. And these are so fragile that, you really need a clean plate. You really need it clean as possible. So that's one of the greatest benefits. Now, just having Obsidian, which again, this paper ain't Obsidian, but it's the same thing with this, is you could use telepathic communications with people. You got a group with just the paper. You could just get a group sitting around each other and just kind of try to throw telepathic thoughts, but try to do it through here and not necessarily try to shoot the thought at them. You could do it through here as well. And even just in this, and I agree, I understand what Bobby and them was doing. It could be this simple. I was saying you can paint some glass and black out the glass and you would get the reflection. So it's another type of deeper communication. As I was saying, I've like with one of the little ones. Yeah, it was still one of the little ones. I saw the omen heads, communicate with me. And then, as I was saying before, like how did it happen? So I was looking in the mirror one day, and out of anywhere, I was just kind of working with the energy. Out of nowhere, an omen with a beard showed up in the mirror. And I was like, I recognized it being omen, but I had never witnessed an omen with a beard. And sure enough, one of my catalogs from either, I think both of them, the LA exhibit of the omen, showed the dude who's on a stone so big, and he's got a full beard. But this is the way that Americans communicated. They communicated with these plates, and they communicated with the balls. So it is a practice that you could do. And just holding Obsidian, Obsidian is good. Like, this is not going to really hold any power, but far as just scrying, yes, it can hold power scrying. Another way you could scry too is you can use these and you hold them on an angle. And this is hard, but it's, gosh, how can I even describe it? I don't even know how I can describe it. It, like, you'll scry like this, and you really have to find that middle place where you can just catch it. And it's really unique because the vision will kind of, and a lot of people have the sideline. Like I heard Bomber say, how things can move in here when you're in the ethers and you kind of want to stay centered, which is okay, but you can kind of scry like this, and it's interesting the way the reality changes doing it that way. It's kind of interesting. I can't really describe it. I guess the way I would describe it would be you could scry this way. Because you look at this pyramid, I flip them. I try to see how I could get the greatest connection. And then once I find it, the energy hits you. And yeah. So I wonder where that would be for our cell phones if they released them back then. Yeah, there wouldn't be no need. Random thought. I miss the old phone sound whenever you hung up on someone and slammed it down. There you go. Today I saw Big Sean. He had a gold circle. And he said it gives off good energy. Okay. I feel that. I understand. Right. Sebastian. That's a homeboy. But yeah, PJ, if they would like, this is the thing. This is the thing. If the Europeans like, I like going back in the past and fucking with them. I like going back in the past and fighting Cortez. But what benefits? It's like, what benefits does that do? Just because I like to fight, that's some fun shit to go back and fuck them Spanish up. But do I change things? Because the way this thing moves is it adapts to me being there. But there's a society that existed where the Europeans was defeated. And Columbus got defeated. The other tribes came from other islands and put pressure, and they was able to defeat them. And so every time Europeans came over, they defeated. So there are realities that showed how this played out without them there. Again, it's more high tech because there's a lot of energy out of the Americas that would have been left alone. It didn't see. This is the thing. When I talked about there's a society that built over where the buffaloes would go. Remember, I've talked about that. So they didn't have to destroy the land. They didn't have to destroy the trees because that's one thing. And I'm not trying to be racist. It's a reality. Europeans devastated the trees. I mean, that's one thing that can't be denied. But I'm saying is it's a reality where they was defeated coming over here. And they built over where the buffalo go. So the buffalo who had been roaming 6 million plus years, always been here, they was able to still free. And they was able to build around this, keeping that energy. Because they understood how this energy of nature helps the overall society, the country. So there's a society that knew enough that you didn't have to kill nature to push civilization. You didn't have to kill nature doing it. Remember that stupid ass movies about the Mayans where they show that they had torn. They tell you the Mayans cut down all the trees and that's why they had to leave. Did that bullshit movie? When what really happened is, look what they did in Europe. They killed all the trees in Europe. Look it up. They killed all the buffaloes over there because we have bison in America. They have buffalo in Europe. They killed all their buffaloes. You can look that up. They devastated all their forests. Almost like they did here. They did it there first. So there's a society you can tap into that they got defeated. And it's a different world. It's a different world. And the same technologies exist. It wasn't like this continent was behind. And you can tap into it. Just bought Obsidian bracelets from China, and I have an Obsidian spear. Wow, okay, Tina, that's sweet. I haven't gotten far with reaching out to family or our history. I absolutely love to connect. I dig in and see what I find. Yeah, the names is a great place to start. Bibles, look all that stuff, or pictures. I love Obsidian. I love learning something new. Oh yeah, you can sit with Obsidian. Like if you got a spear, you ain't even got to gaze in it. You can just hold it. Like I've said before, I use a blindfold, and when you hold that Obsidian, it's like a little sun lights up. It's really an interesting phenomenon. Is you hold the Obsidian and it'll light up. Let me tell you, I mean, like, where's it at? I mean, just some experiences with this, and I'll show you what I did. Like in this plate, in this carrier, see how it looks. So I put the four that are protecting me now around my computer. I put the 4 like in here. So I just put this cube in here, okay? So I kept the 4 cubes. Okay. And I don't remember, but one of these was stuck in here too. And when I first got this one, again, I've had the 4 cubes, these pyramids around it, and at the top, I had this piece of moldavite. Don't you know I was holding this one time, and the motherfucker, the ring of fire lit up around where I had the light and where I had this piece of motivite. It's like the whole thing, just like a ring of fire lit up around here. So I'm holding this in my hand and I'm looking at a ring of fire, and this mirror is in the middle of it. I mean, it was just like one of the coolest experience. I was like, wow. But just the energy of working with this. And I'll be honest, I don't another qualifier. I don't work with it as much as I should, because it's a great way to meditate as well. It's a great way to meditate. So, but you have Obsidian bracelets. Again, they're stronger if you have the motivite with them. Gonna be a little stronger. Same with the salt, the salt lamps. If you have motivite, and the skull, of course. And I've said before, you can scry on something like that. You can scry on that too. But this is a great thing to meditate with. Again, this goes with me through space time. This is in my bag, no doubt. This is in my bag. And I've had this thing about 5 years. Most of my skulls about the same age. Other than Momo, the Crazy Sarge gave me. That's my newest one. And I'll show it off again. Dragon's Bloodstone. Great energy. Oh, I've been going there for that long. Wow. Oh, wow. Just saw reddish light emitting. Okay. They must not like the trees that's going on to today's world. Yeah. Hey, Barbara, thank you for joining me. No, it's something with the trees. Like, that's part of my thing, is like, I don't really hardly talk about tree world anymore, but again, there's a reality, a creation where I'm connected to the tree world, and it's like the way the family, like this is really where they get your family tree, your branches, because this is kind of how the families were born, in the branches of these very ancient trees. And it's so interesting where you had almost like you were considered a cutout today. Like that's how you went into the tree. You had a cutout that you just kind of almost became tree again. And then the water tree. But you each family like was a limb, or with the branches. You lived inside of the branches. That's what was for every family. And again, the water tree. But that was it. That's the interesting part, is how you like had a cutout and you almost became the tree, like when you rested. And that's part of what I prayed for, that I put in my continuous ball field, is I have this tree there because I have that consciousness as well. And yeah, and it's sad. I've said this last night. It's sad the way we put trees around concrete. We put trees around these wires, pipes. I mean, it's sad when you see trees in neighborhoods now around all this concrete. It is sad. A tree needs to branch out in every direction. And a lot of times these trees just got to branch straight out. And you wonder why strong winds come. But you build this shit all around them, and they try to keep these trees. One thing about here is like when we had bought our first house down here, the neighborhood keeps a lot of natural looking shit. And we had a mound in our backyard. It looked good, but hard to cut. Kind of nothing. You couldn't do anything with the area. Not really. So it was kind of a waste of space in some ways. But it kind of kept nature on your property. I understand what they were going after. But the house, I told her not buy that. I was like, we should not buy this house. She's like, well, I don't want to be house poor. Yeah, but we'll get more money for this house than you'll get for that. But she didn't listen. But that's okay. She landed on her feet. We both did. Oh, okay. So this is just things. Let me do my divinations. I know I did a lot of reading tonight. So we are day 14. So 13 Batoons, 0 Katoons, 8 Tunes, 9 Unals, and we are 14 Kin. And 14 Kin for the Mayan would be, I think we're X. That can't be right. That cannot be right. That can't be right. I think I'm behind. Let me double check. Won't give some out and I'm wrong. No, I'm right. Okay, I'm right. So going into Tuesday, the energy is from the north. Okay. And again, it. And so it under the quick divination is the saucer, the jaguar, feline energy, the night seer, attainment of magical powers, highest level of individual consciousness and development. And if you want to manifest, you want a little push, the energy is coming from the north. And it is also ostado or jaguar. In this image of the card, we see the jaguar sitting on a throne as an expression of a high position in the Toltec mystical vision. On the top, we see the number 14 in traditional Nato number symbols, and the head of the jaguar again. On the throne, we see a ceremonial arrow representing an offering to the jaguar as a deity. The meaning of Alsado comes from the nature of the jaguar as perceived within the Toltec perspective. It encompasses strength, hunting power, balance, harmony, stalking, patience, capacity for keen observation, beauty, flexibility, and magic. If you get the Jaguar card, you are meant to adapt the features of this power animal to deal with your world. You will be like a hunter watches his or her territory with all senses and alert in the quest for prey. But like the Jaguar, you won't take more than what you need. Your role as a hunter will contribute to the larger scheme of balancing the elements of your world, which are all interrelated. To be able to do this, you would need something much more powerful than your physical force. You would need the magical power of the jaguar. The real power of the jaguar's magic does not come from its physical strength, but from living in harmony in its own world, and the role in nature helping to sustain the equilibrium among all living beings in its environment. The jaguar never uses its power to abuse or take anything but what it needs. The magical power of the jaguar comes from the kanam, which is the power that rises from harmonizing the opposites. In order to survive as a lonely hunter, Asto has to be in harmony with everything, including its prey. This is a strength you are being called on to develop, strengthened that comes from being in equilibrium with everything around you. It may take you an entire lifetime to develop such power in the maximum, but it is your destiny. And as I've said before, being one of these is one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. Because just like I was saying, when you are one of these, you can damn near smell 100 miles of your territory. But not only does that territory keep people or beings, keep other predators from coming into your territory, it protects your smaller predators that you necessarily don't prey on all the time. And it is, I've said this before, I've had the eagle consciousness flying compared to this, and I prefer this than the eagle. It was a far deeper connection. And yes, flying was great, and I understand having a great range, but the senses were keener, I thought. Because with a bird, it's a lot of the sense of a surprise and great eyesight. So as you're flying, you can see almost everything on the ground as it moves, like close up. That was cool, but the panther energy was way better, I thought. Being a panther was a way better experience for me. Now, someone else may like the eagle experience more. I dug the panther experience. So I give that out. Again, you want to manifest, reach to the north. Again, how you could use this in a practical way is you could see as any ancestors in the north. It can be that easy for you. And that's kind of just all you do. It's like Ancestors are energies in each direction. Can you see me? Can you see me? What do you say? Holla if you hear me. And if I've said before, oh, yeah. All right. Holla if you hear me. Get off my screen. I do not need you. There's a tree that owns itself in Athens, Georgia. I'm Ethan. I'm happy to hear that. I'm very joyful to hear that. Thank you, Anise. But yeah, that's good to know that they can't, keep attacking this stuff. They're going after the Amazon forest over profit and greed, and it makes you really see like a virus is a thing that destroys its environment. That's a virus, a thing that destroys its very own environment. And so you can see that a virus was put across the country. Now they tell you in technology wise it helped, but really did it help? Did it help? Didn't really, the people would have been much better off, and the same technologies would have came. Now, something James always talks about is like in the Americas, they already had the wars, they already had the guns, they already had the weapons. These are the ancient wars, and so the civilization, which would probably in the Americas would be closer to what they thought they saw in Greek with Zeus and them being up there. Because the primal being still was higher vibration and still lives in the magnetic fields. This is the primal beings. They want to call that heaven, but it's just the primal beings that lived here first and lived on this planet the longest. So Cortez and them, all them came. A lot of them was just able to relate. That's why I'm saying LIDAR is an enemy. LIDAR is an enemy. It ain't for us. They want that technology to fuck with the primal beings, because some of it I've said before is generators. So that's why they want to locate all this, because they want to affect this stuff up there any way they can as possible. Like I was saying, the oldest pyramid, they've been fucking with that, trying to see what energy it comes out of. This is the oldest European building. You think they ain't using it? You ain't think they ain't gaining all that energy that was on that pyramid? They're telling a lie. That's why it's been occupied. That's why they ain't never left it. Because of the energy it gives off. I mean, look, one guy I watched on my older channel, he was showing all the ley lines. But these motherfuckers on all the strongest ley lines in the world, they done put themselves. It's some shit where they put themselves and there ain't shit there but the ley line. And they on that shit. And so they really are trying to stifle the mother from helping us by them being on the ley line. So it helped them. But luckily, fractal lines go out to the ley lines. And those go into almost every house. Almost everywhere people live, there's a type of line of energy that's still near you. That's why all this shit helps. The crystals and everything helps you hone in to where those energies are around you. It's why you put the protection up. Again, selenite in windows is easy to do. You can get a big old stick like this for about $5. I'm gonna go look. I know I haven't been there. Maybe my daughter and I might ride out there. I need to go to the crystal shop. See if he's gonna have his big July sale. And so I'm going to do it because he does have little pieces of motivite. And his crystals tend to be fairly strong. They're the strongest one I found locally is his crystals. And I've got them all around. This came from there. Not that one. The argonite didn't. Jade, Newmite. This is the one I did some damage to. Threw my pockets in my. I had it in my pants, and I just kind of. I don't even know how I did it. Threw my pockets and it chipped. This one. But a lot of my stones come from there. Even this. No, I ordered this cube. I ordered this from Russia. But the hematite I showed yesterday is specular hematite, which I have a mirror of. I'll bring that out tomorrow. So I do a lot of business with him. Oh, this big piece, both these pieces come from him. So this helps. Like there's a ley line that runs on this property. And like I was saying before, these witches that lived out here, they would always try to come when I'm trying to do some of this planet working. But I've had some very strong experience being vibrated high enough and being on these ley lines. I've had some very strong experiences out there. Again, I took my selenite one and I told the story before, was able to go across Jupiter to a new room. I mean, it opened up a new space for me on Jupiter. So it's really interesting how you work with this and you find this. That's one good thing about pendulums can help you find ley lines. You can work with your pendulums, and if you can do divine rods too, because you can buy eBay and Etsy both sell divine rods, but you can also use pendulums to find it on your property. No matter how big or how small, if you live in a house or you got land, you can use the pendulum to find the strongest ley line if you live on one. Pendulums can do that. That is another one of their abilities, is they can find ley lines. Okay. Wow, those 2 hours went fast. Is your hematite? No, these ain't magnets. This ain't a magnet. Like hematite magnets ain't really real hematite. I mean, like it ain't hematite like this. It's not natural hematite. Like when they make the magnets, what they do is like they make the crystal bowls. They get crystal, they pulverize it, and then they make it into the bowl. I mean, it's still crystal, but the magnets is done the same way. Some hematite, again, like you find magnets break symmetry. Magnets break symmetry. So does time crystals, but so do magnets. And hematite magnets break symmetry by, you can't pick up a magnet, like I'm talking about a real hematite magnet that grows in nature. You can't tell so like say you find a group of 10 of them. You can't tell the North and South Pole. It breaks symmetry. Symmetry means all of them would be the same. So all of them would be North Pole up as you find this energy. So magnets break symmetry as well. Crystals break it, but time crystals especially. So that's what they do, and they pulverize them. So they find these natural magnets and they pulverize them. I got one of my little magnets. I broke the other one. This one is real magnets. Because magnets keep certain spirits away too. There's spirits that don't like magnets. So it's a good little habit to, but men, don't carry them in your pocket if you're young. You don't want that type of energy messing with your man stuff. So, yeah. Where do you get the necklaces from? Necklaces. Oh, this came from my crystal shop. I'm sorry. It's called, I have to look it up. Richfield. Oh, Enchanted Rock Garden in Richfield. And I might do a live on Facebook with it. Or I can't do live, so maybe I'll just do a recording and show what they have. So they let me go live back, on my other channel. And I went live a couple times. So yeah, it's called Enchanted Rock Garden in Richfield, Minnesota. Why YouTube is stopping the whistleblower videos? I don't see as many as before. I don't know. The card. Hey, James, what's happening? The card. What about it, James? Oh, Been watching Kwame Brown. He's pulling up on folks. Yeah, James. I talked about that with Kwame. But I want him to talk about fake basketball too. But so far, he's just going after brothers, and that's the same thing. The same thing. He's playing ping pong with them. So you taking a brother down, and you blame them for taking a brother down. What's the difference? What's the difference? So, okay, say they take Charlemagne off. They ain't going to take Stephen A. Smith off. And, I mean, what he said to me about Stephen A. Smith is just as strong as what he said about Charlemagne. But, yeah, but he doing the same thing is my point. And then his answer is, you give me money for youth centers? You ain't talking about fake basketball? Youth centers is doing the same thing. It's teaching people to be entertainers. So that ain't no good solution. Now, what he said is how there's certain monies out there where, like the north side of Minneapolis, there was a building. I could have got this building for $12,000 if I had a few people with me. But it was like what to do with it afterwards. So the money to get it wasn't really the thing. It was like what to do next. And that's why I couldn't get enough people to invest with me on, okay, getting it was no problem, but how to maintain it and keep the businesses going out of it while maintaining the building at the same time. But my point was, it was in one of them zones he was talking about. And so I couldn't get enough improvement money to make the business viable, because I had a main business I was thinking about putting on the bottom that was going to keep paying for the building and moving on. So it wasn't a matter of getting the building, but it was a matter of just keep going with the building, maintaining the building, and getting a business that would be viable. And that I didn't have all together. But that's over there too, North Minneapolis. So that's what he was saying, is trying to get those areas that are called, and I don't think it's viable, but they'll give certain loans for certain parts of towns. And he was saying some of the towns he was working with, you could build up parts of the hood like that. And that's a good point, but we don't need rec centers. We need trade centers. So that's where he needs to get his knowing. We need trade centers. As I've talked about, this is what happened with European basketball in the 70s. It was some kind of shift where parents wasn't pushing boys to play basketball. Now, I'm not saying that you didn't still see Europeans in college and stuff, but really in the 70s, who's the biggest European star in the 70s? There is none. Pistol Pete, maybe. Jerry West, maybe. There really was none. Now, you don't really see the next European star till Larry Bird. And there's who's been a European star after Larry Bird? Oh, wait. Tell me, how many MVPs been? Larry Bird won 3 MVPs. You only have Steve Nash, which we know no way he should have won it. No way Steve Nash should have won any. So we see that wasn't about talent. That was about butts in the seats. So there's really been no European stars really since then. Steve Nash was just as manufactured as fucking Steph Curry, probably more so. At least Curry has talent. Steve Nash didn't really have talent. I mean, one year LeBron should have won it, one year Shaq should have won it. But my point is that push stopped being there. Now, I know some people say, well, Christian Laettner was a good European player in college, but it didn't transfer to the pros. He was a solid pro, but he was no Larry Bird. And so my point was, it looked like the Europeans at some point said, we're going to quit making our children be entertainers. That's what I get from the information, is there was some point they looked at it where we don't really want to be the entertainers anymore. Look at the decline in baseball. Hockey is about the only thing you can say that's really dominated as a sport. That's basically, 80% European. So there was a point where that society said, we're going to stop being entertainers. How many Jewish faith people you've seen in sports? See them in movies. You don't see them in sports. They're not really workers. European or Jewish faith people aren't workers. Sports, you got to work. How many? I bet we can look a few up, but they're mostly entertainers where you ain't got to really work. Making movies ain't hard work. You can go live if you do it from the StreamYard website on your phone if you have it when you can use. Oh, so that's how Cova was doing it. Okay, thank you. I don't have the StreamYard on my phone, but I can put it on there. Dirk or Steve Nash. It was Steve Nash. It was Steve Nash. Leitner was garbage in the NBA. Tina, I don't know. Tina, I don't know. Because he was here when JR was here, and I was living here when he came in, and he played hard. I watched a lot of them games. And he played well. He wasn't Larry Bird. He was never going to be Larry Bird, but he was solid. He would get you 12 points, and he would get you 5 to 15 rebounds. And he played solid post defense. The cat's 6'11". So he was solid. I mean, he wasn't Larry Bird, though. That's what they was anticipating. They was anticipating him being Larry Bird. And, like, if you looked at J.J. Riddick, he's still in the league. They didn't run motions like they ran for Riddick, for Leitner. Leitner, again, was what do they call it? He went to Duke, those type of players, system players. He was a system player where the system had to kind of rely on him a lot. But he wasn't a franchise dude like Bird. But I ain't going to say he only made the All-Star team once. But, that makes you an All-Star. They put it in your shit if you make it once. And the funny thing about the NFL this is a funny thing about the NFL. They'll say you made the Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl ain't all pro. Same with the NBA. You play an NBA All-Star, but you might not be all NBA. But the Pro Bowl, there's each side, 30 people. So it's not as high an honor as making all pro. They seem like they tried again with Gordon Hayward. That seems like a brother's name, by the way. Somewhat. Like the thing with him is the same thing I say with George. Was his injury real? Was his injury real? Because remember, he got hurt the first game. Him and Kyrie was hooping, and then he got hurt the first game. But it was that same compound fracture like Paul George. Now, I'm not saying that compound fractures don't happen, because I told before, when I used to referee in 87, maybe the winter of 87, I was referee in the Target League. I had the contract to do Target League. And so we was playing in the bottom of the Target Center at Lifetime Fitness. I don't think it was a Bally's. I think it was still Lifetime. And I was about to start a game, and the dude was he had played 3 or 4 games, and he was just shooting layups, and the dude came down and had a compound fracture. They had to come get him. We had to call, they had to come down there and get him. The people that was, this was the ambulance for the NBA game. They had to come down from the NBA to take this dude up and take him to the hospital. And he shot a layup in the layup line. No competition. And he landed, and his shit just snapped and came out his leg. But Hayward's injury and George's injury, I just wonder. I wonder about them. I liked him better in his college days. Gordon Hayward sounds like, yeah, it does. It does. Like From the White Shadow. Niece, perfect. That is perfect. Character from the White Shadow. Yeah. I was like, but the dude who hit some shots tonight, what's the dude from Duke? He went all 4 years, but he won the championship with Okafor and Ty Jones. What's his name? The dirty dude who was always getting in trouble at Duke for tripping people and shit. But he played for Memphis tonight. That cat hit some big shots. And I'm not saying that European players didn't always play AAU and they weren't in the college game, but you didn't really see him making that jump. And that is on purpose. That is on purpose. That ain't accidental. That there's something in their society where they didn't want to be entertainers as much. And you can really look at the 70s and look at the way colleges even push people. There was a decline there, because you can't tell me the competition brothers got that much greater. You can't say the brothers just was so much better when it was always played with everybody. But you can see that when the leagues merged, they pushed most of the European dudes out. They called the Knicks the niggerbockers when the Knicks had all brothers. And just as from the 60s, again, the first time 4 brothers started was with Loyola of Chicago. It was 4 brothers and 1 European. They won in 62 or 63. And then we have Texas Western that was all brothers. But again, we had 4 brothers years before. So if you even follow the college game, but follow the NBA game, and you go from merger to after the merger, and look at the merger of the ABA game teams, and even look at the NBA teams. So somewhere there was a consciousness to even push Europeans out, because look how many Europeans made it from the merger in the ABA? Steve Nicks. Now we had Larry Brown coaching, we had Doug Moe coaching, Steve Nicks. Who else? Louis Dampier, the best shooter in the ABA ever, never did. He retired. 77 in the ABA was his last season. Rick Barry, Billy Cunningham. I think Billy Cunningham retired in the ABA, though I don't quite remember. But probably the best player was Billy Cunningham, and they made him, or no, excuse me, Rick Barry. And Rick Barry was stopped from jumping to the ABA. He was stopped for a season. He had to sit out a season and a half, I think. So Rick Barry. Who else? Pistol Pete never played in the ABA. And Pistol Pete never became, they stuck him in Atlanta. So he would be on mediocre teams. And that was on purpose. So he wouldn't really start. Like Larry Bird was drafted the year before. He was drafted the year before. So when he played Magic and then, because Larry Bird transferred. So Larry Bird could have left college after his junior year. And the thing I know about Larry Bird is A&T played them in the NIT. One dude I ended up meeting, Sparrow, played against him. He was called Bird too. His nickname was Bird because he would hit a 3 and he would do like this down the court for A&T. So they called him Bird. James Sparrow was his name. So, Christian Leitner 2.0. Thank you, Bryson Allen. That's his name. Thank you, guys. I'm still going with the Lakers and the Sixers. But PJ made a great thing too about, I think PJ, who did you say, PJ? You were saying the Nets, the Jackie Robinson. That made sense too. The Lakers and the Nets with the Jackie Robinson. That I could see that too. That's a good point. They rather watch us. Yeah, they rather watch us. That's the thing. But it's entertainment. It's vaudeville, you know. Again, to me, the college boys played harder than the NBA guys. At least that's how I felt when I was into basketball. It's more entertaining. It's more entertaining. Two things about the NBA game is two things. You do see the quickness of the athletes a lot better, but you see the show. I mean, you can't miss the show. It's like the Globetrotters. That's why I give them an example. It's like the Globetrotters play music when they're just hooping back and forth. And then they turn off the music and do the tricks. And you see the same thing in the NBA a little bit. Now, Pro Football Live, you totally see the show. Again, playing college football, we had TV timeouts and shit. We played on TV. My last 2 years, we played on TV almost every week. And so TV timeouts, you become aware where the referee nobody called timeout. And they tell you and you hold up. So you're just sitting there while it's a commercial playing. And then they tell the refs when play goes and the ref comes. But you get used to that. Where it'd be a TV timeout and the coaches don't have to call a timeout, but you're just standing there. I mean, literally, you're just standing there waiting for them to, and you get used to it as you play. It's a TV timeout. It's not a regular timeout. Because regular timeout, you go over to the sideline. But TV timeouts, they bring water out to you. They come out to you. You get water and stuff, but you're just standing there. So, but yeah, so the college game, I still think the NBA is going to have a mid-season champion. It would make it so exciting if they really let everybody go for it like they do in college. And I think they wanted that. The players struck it down because they wanted a mid-season champion. And I think it would make it more exciting. I still don't understand. Like, that's why the play-ins was this year. because they're trying to get that excitement back, because people really are losing interest in the way it's fixed. It's not a good fix. I mean, the team is down and you foul a 3-point player on purpose. The product looks bad. That is not a good product, NBA. That's a poor product that we have to watch that. And how often do we see that? Reeves, his first game back, and on the crucial play, he can't just jump up in the air with Dame. He has to smack his hands to give Dame 3 shots. You see how that's a poor product. Nobody wants to see that. That shit ain't believable. Like Cat Williams or Cat Towns all the time fouling on purpose. Then we get no, I didn't foul shit. That's acting. We see that. And Towns is too agreeable to that shit. Too agreeable, too often. It's a poor product. I mean, the NFL is becoming poor with the grip gloves. The grip gloves are so ridiculous. Motherfucker just jump. Like, it's so bad. You even see the college dudes doing it. They just go up with one hand. I've taught receivers. I used to catch 500 balls a game. I would have to practice just with one hand, throwing right there. You know how hard it is? Then right here, no gloves. So it's never natural for me if the ball is just out too far, yeah. But it's more natural to go with 2 hands. And you seeing dudes just reach one because they know the gloves will catch the ball. Like the Beckham catch. This motherfucker turns around and just puts his hand up. That catch is impossible. And I've showed all the plays where a dude won't even get his thumb on the ball. It'll be just these fingers. You know how hard it is catching a football without your thumb? The thumb is the web. But dudes catching balls like this, they'll be able to just stick their fingers out. They can just stick their fingers out and they can catch the ball. That's no. You can't do that. That's impossible. That's impossibility. It can't be done without grip gloves. So I point that shit out. And just like they made wrestling go in front of the government and admit that they ain't real, they got to do the other sports like that. That's what we demand. People, we can still bet on your shit. You still can bet on wrestling. That shit didn't go away. You can still bet on the outcome of wrestling. It did not go away because they admitted that it's fixed, scripted. Didn't go away. So these other sports, your faking is people still gonna be interested in it. And then baseball thought they saw the problem of saying one team cheated. This shit's been 130 years of cheating. I'll tell you guys, I use a rig now, and the rig is the best way to get the wax, but that's some crackhead meth looking shit. You gotta fucking light the shit with a torch. You gotta get the little stir, and then you can you imagine? Like, my little thing is just too goddamn harsh. My little hitter is just too fucking harsh. Just can't do it. It's too harsh. I can do it about once or twice a week, and that's it. It's just too harsh. But that shit is but it is the best way to get I only got shatter left. So this is the best way to get the shatter. It's more efficient, but it's some crackhead looking ways to do that shit. To flame it and then stir it, and yeah. I couldn't do that. I couldn't sit here with my rig and just like, it made me think I'm Richard Pryor. When I'm smoking, I'm like Richard Pryor. Getting kind of low, Rich. Do you think athletes in basketball today are better than athletes yesterday? That's an interesting thing because, like, who can I give an example? And Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley was a basketball player. I couldn't say Charles Barkley was an athlete. He was a basketball player. Trying to think who else. Dwight Howard is another one that's more of a basketball player than a true athlete. Now, what we saw with Jordan, when Jordan did his lifting, that was fairly new, because the thing with basketball and lifting has always been it throws your shot off. But in reality is, if you lift and then you shoot, you keep kind of your arms. So you can incorporate the weights, but you got to shoot enough afterwards where the weight doesn't affect your shots. But that goes kind of hand in hand. So today we've got better shoes, technology. I mean, Wilt played his whole career in Converse. Connie Hawkins is probably a greater example because he played a lot of ball outside. The Rutgers, what do you think they was playing? They playing outside in the Rutgers. So you have better shoes, better nutrition, and most of them have personal trainers. So you have better nutrition, you have better shoes, personal trainers. I mean, now, as far as your question saying, are they better athletes? You took a dude like Goose Tatum that played with the Globetrotters. He also played with the Kansas City Monarchs, played first base. That's an athlete. There's a difference between basketball. Like Carmelo Anthony is just a basketball player. You can tell he is just a basketball player. He's not an athlete. He's a basketball player. And so I guess that's the difference. Jordan was an athlete. Charles Barkley was just a basketball player. So, like, was Charles Barkley good as Elgin Baylor? Stats say no. Stats say no. Elgin Baylor was a mug wore Converse. So there's more advantages now. But this is the negative. Back then you could be out of shape. You can't be out of shape in pro sports now. You play pro football or pro basketball, you can never be out of shape. You have to stay in shape all year long. All year long. And I started to see that, like my last years of competition, 80, 83, was starting to see that, where cats couldn't be out of shape anymore. You had to stay in shape all year round. And I started seeing it 83, 84. So that's the difference, because before you could quit doing everything and you could get in shape again in a couple of weeks before season. You don't see that anymore. Guys take a couple of weeks off, but they pretty much have to stay in shape all year round. And round 85 is when that changed. So there's more advantages of playing now. Again, nutrition, being on the road, that's huge. Eating well. And now these guys know the hotels they staying in. They can make sure the food that's best for them and best for their performance, they can get that. Years past, probably not so much. I mean, fuck, when they played in Fort Wayne before the Pistons moved to Detroit and they played in Fort Wayne, there was nothing that went to Fort Wayne. You got dropped off in the middle of nowhere and you had to take an hour drive into Fort Wayne. So, and then look at the players that have to travel by train in the 1920s and 30s before flying was full. Guys was on these motherfucking trains. So you think about if you played with the Yankees, and then you would play across town, you would play the Giants or the Dodgers, and then you had to get on a train to play Philadelphia. Then you had to get on a train to play, maybe go to St. Louis. It was mostly just the East Coast back then before the Dodgers moved out to California. So there's a lot of trains, so the travel is way better. Private plane is 1,000 better. I mean, I'll tell you one person that, if you look at his travel, was Andre the Giant. Again, he wouldn't take the medication to stop his growth, but just traveling was hard on that man, very hard. And he would go back and forth from Europe. So yeah, it's better. It's better because the nutrition is better too. Yeah, have a mid-season champion, or at least make the All-Star game be baseball, where the conference did All-Star game. Yeah. The conference champion hosts the first two and last two games of the NBA Finals. Crackhead shit, yeah. I did that once when my friend whipped that torch out. Dang, it was like that. Super high, though. It was cool once. I remember how James Harden was looking before he went to Brooklyn. He looked like the whole time he was all the way. Ate with Krispy Kreme donuts. Yeah, he wasn't in shape. Oh, like I was saying, when I went on a date a couple of weeks ago. I did one in the morning, and I was like, woo! I went on my date, and I was like really plastered. And I was kind of messing around because I knew how I had the time to go meet her where she was, because she's getting her nails done, her hair done, or some shit. And I was like higher than a motherfucker. My shit was like it is now. Like my daughter see me. My daughter's like, "Why are your eyes pink, Dad?" I'm like, "They're pink all the time." She's like, "No, they're not." I'm like, "Yes, they are." When I'm in that groove, and she just looks at me and shakes her head. uh, uh. Oh, you like the setup it is now? Yeah, the playing games was cool. It made a little more excitement. It made the regular season count a little more because that's the problem. The NFL is fighting with the regular season not meaning as much too. They are struggling with that, where the regular season doesn't mean anything. So, but yeah, I was so buzzed. And luckily, I wear that plastic mask that come up to here, and I'm wearing a hat like this, and so I wear glasses. I wear glasses. I just don't wear them now because I can't read. But yeah, I was high as a motherfucker. When I took my daughter, I remember I took my daughter. I had to take her to the university. It was about a half hour away, and I was like the same way. I was messing around. Uh, yeah, so it had you in the the playing is solid, but it had me like I was plastered. I really was like, man, you trying to mess around and go places. But I'm logical. I say I love carrying new mic because just dealing with new mic makes you logical. But yeah, I was like, how the song goes, I'm standing on the verge of getting it on. Yeah, I wasn't standing on the verge. I was at the verge, especially on my date. I was really at the verge. And we no longer date. Maybe that's why we had dated for 6 months, but maybe that's why. Which I don't care. I'm gonna be me. If you can't take me as my funk is, you can't take me at all. I'm a good solid dude. But people, I'm a storm, and I understand that. I'm a storm. Like we was talking about, this is shit. And my mother's riding with me, and my mother's very liberal. My daughter's mother is more conservative, and we were riding, and uh, someone mentioned to my mother some shit about color. They was like, some colored children was running in the building. My mother's like, freeze, time out. Like, I'm not gonna talk to you anymore because that's some racist ass shit you said to me. The fuck is the colored person? And so she's offended by that, which rightly so. There's no such thing as a colored person. But I was telling my mother, I am very racist. I mean, you can listen to me and you can hear I am a pretty racist ass person. I very much am. My daughter's mother told me, she said, you don't like, I mean, this is when we broke up. She said, you don't like European people. That's what she said. And it's not that I don't like individuals. I don't like their society and what they've done to everything. It ain't just the people, it's the land, everything. I don't like the society. And so I'm racist against that. And it's not against any individual, but it's saying, look at the destruction that has come since they've come here. And it's not pointed at any individual because you've been here as long as, well, my family's been here since the 1300s or more. But I'm saying, if you look at what was done, this shit ain't worth more than trees to me. Ain't worth more than all them buffaloes. And even though my people lived in Boston, we didn't depend. My North Carolina people depend on them. They didn't depend. Even my North Carolina family didn't depend on the buffalo like that. That was more the Plains people when they came. They followed them. So I'm a very racist motherfucker. My mother's like, you can't be, she's hearing shit that other motherfuckers say. Well, you can't be racist if you don't control the economics. Parodying what some other motherfuckers said 20 years ago. That's not true. I'm a racist as a motherfucker. I am very racist. So you can be racist at any situation. But it doesn't mean I don't have love for people. I'm racist towards the society, not any individual. So that colored shit. Hey, got to pull out the shades. But this is my grandfather. My grandfather, that's all he said. He never said nigger. He never said Negro. He would always say colored fella. He'd ask me, he's like, well, I did work this color. That's what my grandfather always said. I never heard him say brother. I never heard him say nigger. He always said colored fella. That was my grandfather, my mother's dad. He would always say, well, the colored fellas work. He's like, well, those colored fellas work got that cocaine. I'm like, are you buying cocaine? Why did you mention that? It's like, no, I'm just telling you who got it. I'm like, what, do you want me to go get some from them? I used to fuck with it, but that's how he would come off. He's like, well, those colored guys at work would buy those Cadillacs. I'm like, what do you drive? Well, I drive an Oldsmobile. That's kind of Oldsmobile's lower than Cadillac, but so to me, I wouldn't be offended because again, I'm hearing this, but some people get offended by that. My mother was offended like a motherfucker. Colored people. Those colored, what he said was the colored children was running down the hallway. Just like time out. Oh, what the fuck is a colored motherfucker? I don't know. It's funny to me, but so I'm racist as hell, But like being in favor of guns, does that make me racist too? I'm in favor of guns. I think every grown motherfucker should be given a gun. You turn 18, they should fucking give you a gun. Teach you hunting skills. Because that's America hunting. But how many people listening to me now could go out there and hunt and listen and track? I mean, who has those skills? Can build you some shit up in the tree. Put your cameras out. That's what they do now. They put the feeds out there where they feed these motherfuckers so they'll come in the areas. And that's kind of dirty and cheating a little bit, but that's how they do it. Year round, they have feeds and they have the sets up. They sit in the little tent thing or you climb up in the goddamn tree. But year round, you give them feeds and they come into your property. And then you can kind of predict when the weather changes and deer season comes in, how you can just pop at some motherfuckers because, they know there's food in that area. That's the way they hunt too. But I'm colored. My birth certificate says colored. My brother says Negro. My shit says colored. It says father colored, mother colored, baby colored. So I guess they said colored from colored equals colored or produces colored. I don't know. But my cousin, his says white because they looked at the mom and even though my uncle's browner, but they put mother white. And I think they put my cousin as white too, but they put mother white. I don't know if my uncle was there or not. I couldn't say. But my cousin's birth certificate says his shit's white. My mother's nephew, his birth certificate says mother white and him white. I don't think my uncle was in there. I could be wrong, but he showed it to me. He's like, look at this shit. I'm supposed to be white. That's what he showed me. He's like, look at this shit. Mother white, baby white. So he could have put that shit on his shit because that's what his birth certificate said. They went by how they look. Like you look at my great grandfather, we got all the census. In 1920, they say the motherfucker's white. 1922 or 24, they said he's white. In 1932, all of a sudden it's mulatto or some shit. It's like they going by what they looking at. That's all they doing. They going to say, how you doing? We got the census. Can you sign it? And they going by how you look. So if they come when you ain't got a tan, they going by how you look. They ain't going by, And we know states like Virginia, you couldn't fucking say that you was Indian. It was punishable by law. That's the Albert Plecker. Plecker made it illegal for you to say you was an Indian. So that's where you start getting classified as Negro, colored, mulatto. Because legally you couldn't claim Negro. My great grandfather hated that he had that mulatto shit on him. He wanted to be called black or Negro. He wanted to be a Negro. Well, I'm a Negro just like you're a Negro. I remember arguing with my cousin. Well, I'm a Negro just like you're a Negro. And my cousin like, well, that ain't what your birth certificate says. It says mulatto, so you a mulatto. They would just be going back and forth, but not understanding what my uncle had done, my great grandfather had done for the community. Not understanding that, being more of just from a 60s militant Black Panther-ish kind of understanding. I understood my great grandfather too, and the moves he made. Helping bring one of the hospitals, helping all the farmers. He was the Farmer Bureau guy. He worked for the Farmers Bureau. He was the president. So he was going to different farms and showing them ways to be effective. I think he had the motherfucking, when he hit the bumper crop of the mint, he had where they had to press it. Because after he had the bumper crop, bought him a Model T for $800 in 1919, which was equal to about 70,000, 80,000 today. He built the thing where you press the mint. So all the motherfuckers, that copied his idea thought they was gonna tap into his market. He's like, you got to come to me to press this shit. Just like they had to go to certain places to get the apples pressed, apple cider and shit. I don't play with the colored shit. That's just me. I'm Play-Doh black. That's Richard Pryor. He's like, I don't play that black shit. Richard Pryor is one of his old routines. Like, I don't play that black shit, baby. I'm colored. Because his first motherfuckers want to be Negroes. I remember I went to see this girl that lived around the block from me, and she came to me, and it was funny, some couple funny shit. And she's like, yeah, my dad said you can't come over anymore because you're a Negro. And I just knocked on the door. But my other friend, he lived, like I tried to say when a tornado hit, I had two friends that lived next door to each other. So Mark was one of my friends. And I remember going to Mark's house, and Mark saw me later, and he laughed. And Mark was like, did you come over to my house? I was like, yeah. He said, I figured that was you because my dad said some Negro came over to the house. And I remember I told his other brother, this shit was funny to me because he laughed at me. When he said this shit, he started laughing. He's like, I figured it was you because my dad said some Negro came over. Well, Mark, a Negro came by to see on you. Well, Dad, can you describe him to me? He's just Negro. I don't know. Was he tall, short? What? He's just Negro. I can't tell you what he was. Yeah, I put melanin. I put American Indian though, or I'll put other, or I'll put white, because technically, black folks can put white too, because white is just a status. That's all. That's it. So, like, my when I get MRIs, they put white just looking at me. They put white on my shit just looking at me on my MRI paper. I kind of laugh. I think I got to show it next time I go. I haven't needed one in a minute. But I'll put that shit too, because legally. But like that's what my mother was saying, because we, African American, that's some Jesse Jackson shit. I mean, this is how it went. Jesse Jackson is on every newscast saying African American. For about a month, we was bombarded with Jesse Jackson, maybe when Jesse was running for president, 80, 81. African American, African American, African American. And how the news say the same shit? You know how people do the programs with news and all of them saying the same spells? African American was that same kind of spell, taking us away from the land. And we know Jesse been an agent when he was with King. Jesse was an agent. You can catch King where King say, that nigga don't speak for me. They're saying some shit about Jesse, and King say, that nigga don't speak for me. Y'all catch that? He's like, that nigga don't speak for me. So they already knew Jesse was foul. They knew Jesse was foul. What Jesse say after King killing? When one Messiah goes down, we have a resurrection. Look at that speech after Jesse don't even go to the hospital. He dips his hand and rubs that shit for the interview on TV. He's one of the first, they interview him in front of the hospital. He don't go to the hospital to see how his friend doing. He goes to the hospital to meet NBC News with the blood he done wrapped. This is King's blood, because he does 2 interviews. And then a day or so later, he says, well, where there's a death, there's a resurrection. And he really thought, and the CIA wanted Jesse, or the FBI wanted Jesse to take King's place. They definitely didn't want Fred Hampton, but they wanted Jesse to take King's place. And so he had that's why Jesse got Alzheimer's. That's why he getting the shot. That's why they had Jesse here. He came to Minnesota. The fuck Jesse come? Jesse is Minnesota when they read the Floyd shit. He's standing up there with Crump and them motherfuckers in Sharpton. And I've said before, I met Jesse Jackson when I was in 4th or 5th grade, because again, my uncle's best friend was Jesse's bodyguard, big fat Tiny. And Tiny was the only person I knew that could drive with his belly in Chicago. And I mean, drive, whip it drive. But he was a big dude. He was about 5'7", but Tiny must have been 375 and could fight. I saw him choke a dude one time. We went on errands with him. Motherfucker said something odd. And he just walked by the motherfucker like we thought we was leaving. No. He walked by this motherfucker and he just picked him up, started choking that motherfucker. My cousin and I were like, okay. And he always carried a big 44. He didn't carry a 357. He had a big 44 in that big belly of his. And when he drove, he put it in the seat next to him. His big 44 Magnum he carried around. Yeah. But that was Jesse's bodyguard. He had a weird picture in the basement. The picture would follow you. It was a picture of Jesse, and the shit was creepier than a motherfucker because everywhere you went, Jesse's eyes would follow you. And we had to sleep in that goddamn basement. So when we went to sleep, I took that picture off the wall and I laid it down until I woke up because I got tired of Jesse following me. My 8th grade graduation. CB4 coming up in your chart lately. I'm going to have to see that again. CB4 has been coming up in your chat lately? Oh, okay. Jay said Jesse spoke at my 8th grade graduation. And I told the story. You know, Jesse's son, the one that got popped, and his other son, they both, the years I didn't play, if I would have played, if I'd have stayed for my senior year and wouldn't have tried to go into the league, I would have played because I could have got red shirt. I could have got a red shirt year too. I could have played actually 2 more years. But his sons played. They was younger than me, but Jesse was at every game. You know, as your ex-players get to stand on the sideline. You're an ex-player, you get the thing, and you can stand on the sideline. And you just talk to the coaches before the game, and you get to stand on the sideline. So so Jesse was always there on the sideline. I was with my ex, so we would sit in the stands, but Jesse was always there. Practices, he would be at some of the practices. So again, I met him. You know, I've known him since I was in 5th grade. But if the Lakers win this year, they'll win next year too. Yeah, well, I agree. They're gonna let him get his 3-peat, and then they're gonna lose a year, and then they're gonna bring LeBron's son in, because LeBron is gonna play like Ken Griffey Jr. LeBron is gonna be the first one to play in the NBA with his son. Rick Barry didn't even do that. So, and they already showed you in the Gatorade commercial that LeBron is going to play with his son. So. That is predictive programming. And so far, the only ones that have done that, I think, is Griffey Jr. I don't think Kyle Ripken's daddy. No, he was coaching. His daddy was coaching. His daddy quit playing. Trying to think who else. I had to look it up, but I think that's the only ones that ever played with his son. So we're going to see. Ooh, the tobacco just kicked in. I'm like, whoa, okay. I read an article on a woman, and the woman said, and this is sad. The woman said, I was telling my mother about this shit. This woman said she 2 years older than me. I'll be 60 in about 30 some days. I'll be 60. And so this woman was a couple years older than me at 62. This woman says she went to rehab and got healed on crack. She went to rehab. She got off crack. The chick said it's been impossible for her to quit cigarettes, menthol cigarettes. She says she's been smoking. She's 62. She's been smoking for 40 years. And she can't quit smoking cigarettes. Now, Biden's thing ain't really binding yet. It's not really binding. But that shows you, and I've told this story before about the rats. They had these rats, and they gave the rat liquid cocaine, liquid heroin, and liquid nicotine. After the rat tried them all, the rat wouldn't leave the nicotine. The rat would eat the nicotine water until it killed him, ignoring the cocaine and the heroin. So cigarettes are the most addictive drug that we have. And yes, it affects brothers and sisters. I mean, how many brothers and sisters do you know that have diabetes and smoke and have overweight? I be looking at people and I'm like, you smoke, like heavier people. And young people think they're going to live forever. But I look at people like overweight people, and you know, I mean, cigars don't have near as many additives. And in the additive of nicotine, they put even more things to make you addicted. I'm not making any signs. Does everyone in the NBA, including coaches, know about the magnets? Yeah, I think if they win next year too. Yeah, I think Curry is going to get another one. Does everybody know about the Magnus? Yeah. You can watch players. See, players are playing smart. Like I was saying with Trey Young, during his freshman year, they turned on the Magnus the first 10 games. He never realized when they turned him off because he shot terrible when they turned him off. They only put him in the tournament because of his first 10 games in college, where he was doing Curry like shots. So Trey Young didn't realize. But players you see now, they know when, like tonight, look at the way they was lining up for Golden State. Them dudes knew they was gonna hit. Look at Green. Where was Green all them times? That's why I'm saying they got earbuds. Because look at Green tonight. He was catching the ball in the key. But this one set, he sits at threes and he makes his only three of the game. What's the difference? What was the difference? You see how they set him up with the earbuds and told him, go ahead and float out to the three, And that's how it had to be. It's no way where he's from the double team, he's not being in that free throw line. That was the offense they was running. This time he's in the three, and the three doesn't hit anything. And you can just look at the way he shoots and see why he's not successful. And this dude shoots 27%. That means less than one a game. Less than one a game. But under this pressure, this motherfucker can make one under the pressure. No. Totally manipulated. So yeah, players know. They quit shooting. The smart dudes quit shooting. They quit shooting. And Ken are tight. Said used to stay over Ken Griffey's house back in the day. Griffey was in Cincinnati. Could have been. Very much. Could have been. Ken Griffey was in Cincinnati. That woman can't quit smoking cigarettes. She went from one habit to another. No. They never quit smoking cigarettes. That's what I noticed about crackheads. When I was sitting in the trap houses, crack houses, most of them smoked cigarettes. I'll say this, they already smoked cigarettes. So she smoked cigarettes before she smoked crack. So yeah, I understand, because it's like what also something I speak of as far as crack addicts. A lot of people quit being crack addicts and went to church. So that's definitely taking one crutch and doing the other. But yeah, she smoked crack before she smoked cigarettes. I mean, she smoked cigarettes before she smoked crack. So I only know one person that started smoking cigarettes after smoking crack. Yep. Does the script ever change? Of course, woke. Of course it changes. Well, let's say this. The general script of the game can change if you understand me. So it's like a Globetrotter game. We're going to do this there, this here, this here, this here. And so say somebody get hurt. So the script has to adjust to that person getting hurt if it's a real injury. Say it's a person they don't expect to get hurt, and he get hurt. The script has to change to bring somebody else in. And so that person will take that role. And a lot of times you see a person come in and have a good game because the script says that the person who got hurt is supposed to have that good game. And so the person that come in will still have a good game because the script called for that player before he got hurt to have a good game. Gerald Henderson, I think, is one of those best examples, because when Gerald Henderson, when Worthy threw that pass where he threw it right to Henderson, it was the only way they could lose too. It was like, instead of giving the ball back to Magic, he thinks, oh, let's just throw a pass across court. And Boston wins. So Gerald Henderson, I think he took the place of somebody injured. That's why he was even in the game. I could be wrong, but so yeah, they know that the script can change like that. The outcome, no, but the script fires, as I mentioned, you got to look at how the Globetrotters play. It's the same kind of way. Now the characters may change. That's kind of my point of somebody getting hurt. The characters can change, but yeah, it doesn't really change. The outcome won't be changed. Again, my father told me a long time ago. He said, "Do you think they're gonna let niggas decide who win and lose?" And we don't own the teams. We don't own the associations. Like when they went on strike, basketball was going to be the easiest to take it across the country. Look at what happened when the Olympics was canceled in 1980 because of Russia's shit. Magic had already had all-star teams moving with it. Magic was playing around the country. He had Mark Aguirre, Jay Vincent, all the Chicago dudes, Michigan guys, Gerving, Greg Kelser. He had all these dudes just going around the country. And so what happened when they canceled the 80 Olympics, Magic and them just played exhibition games with the Olympic team to get them better. And so, yeah. So it wouldn't have been hard for them to start a new league, is my point. You can rent, all these millionaires could have rent gyms, say screw you, because like right now before I came on tonight, it was a Australian rules football game on. So if LeBron James and them started their own league, TV people would have been running up trying to do it. But the TV people work with these owners and shit too. So they'd have called him breaching contract. What did he say? They said Kwame Brown a cease and desist because you can't call him a rapist. Well, he didn't get convicted of rape, so don't call it rape. But Kwame, talk about the league being fixed. We don't need more recreation centers. We need real skills. So fuck that stupid shit you're talking about. Build more recreation centers. That's teaching us to be entertainers. The time of the entertainer is done. Shouldn't want your children to be entertainers anymore. You want to be a functioning society person. You want people to have different skills, not just dream. That's all Curry. That's the main point why they want Curry. Because they want more people that don't get tall thinking that you could be Curry or Trae Young. Doesn't matter if you're tall. Because right now basketball is about being tall. They put Curry and Trae Young to say, you ain't got to be tall, you can be Curry. So come back to us. Charmin, yeah, he's definitely bought and paid for it. I mean, they paid for him to get off of that, and he paid a lot of money, but he supposedly was only 20 at the time, or 22. Charlemagne himself said he was 20, but Kwame said the public record said the motherfucker was 22. That's what he said the public record was. Let's build more technical colleges. I am down for that. Not everyone can play for sports. That's right. And then he's like Kwame, 40 years old. He ain't never had a job. He doesn't have any skills. So do you see? Why wouldn't this person that doesn't have any other skills other than buying properties, understanding how you can buy into these cities and get these loans? But we need, like she said, technical colleges. We need technical skills, Kwame, not entertainers. That's the point. But see, that makes me see Kwame as controlled opposition. He's doing the same thing they doing. He's attacking brothers. When it would be a bigger platform to say, you motherfuckers all agree to these scripted motherfuckers. But see, Kwame on pension. Kwame probably get $300K a year for the rest of his life. Because Kwame played 6 years plus. So do you think Kwame is going to talk about fake sports? You think he's going to risk $300,000 plus a year of his pension to say sports is fake? Because it's probably in his contract. I guarantee it is. So he ain't going to talk about that. So he's still paid for by them too. You think he turned down his checks? I want to see Kwame turn down his check. I'm not going to take, I caught it. I'm not going to take my pension money this year. I've made enough. And so I'm going to take all my pension money and put it in the community, technical community, not entertainers, Kwame. And then I'm going to talk about fucking fixed sports. But he never will because he's still paid by the same people. So he controlled opposition. That's all Kwame is controlled opposition. They want to go after the people he went after. I'll say that. They wanted them, and so they used him to go after them. 90s school secretary asked me if my child was black or white. I said, what difference did it make? She said, black. If black bust, mixed child parents choice, superintendent got an earful from us. That is outstanding because that's some bullshit. That's really some bullshit. Because the first time I got bust, I didn't have to get bust. But it was a year before forced busing. When I was in 4th grade, they gave school a choice. And I wanted to go to school where my aunt lived. I wanted to go to school with my cousin and my friends. And so 4th grade, I got bused by my aunt's house. My mother would get mad. I missed the bus. My cousin would say, we playing football after school. I'd be like, fuck this bus. And my mother called my aunt, is he over there? My aunt was like, yeah, he's over here. And she's like, quit missing the goddamn bus. We got to get off work and babysit. Yeah. I don't want to hear that shit. If I'm having fun, I'm having fun. And then in 5th grade was forced busing. 5th grade, forced busing. So 72. My daughter, what is it? We were 21, right? My daughter's in 4th grade. So yeah, must have been 21, 20, 71, 72. I was in 5th grade, I guess. Yeah, must have been. But that's when they forced us to bus. Everybody. And where I lived, I couldn't have went to either high school, but I could have went to another junior high. Where I lived in 7th grade was a border. So I could have went to either junior high. And I went to the junior high where my cousin was at. My cousins went through. So, but I could have went to this other junior high too. High school, no, I lived around the corner from the high school, so I had to go to the high school I went to. Unless the Catholic high school they was considering giving me a scholarship, and they never came up with the money. They asked me to skip school, to come over there and check the school out. And I'll be honest, quantifier. I couldn't have done the academics. When I was in 10th grade, these motherfuckers was taking apart pigs. I struggled with taking apart a goddamn frog. They were working with pigs, so it was more advanced. I couldn't have survived. I couldn't have done my grades. I know me. And I just couldn't have did the work. I struggled with biology. And again, they didn't find out I had dyslexia shit to the last couple of years, which would have, if they would have realized that when I was younger, I would have got some extra help. School 2 blocks from the house, bus school 20 minutes away. Well, I'll tell you, my children, to keep my children in the schools they were in when we lived near there, we still qualified. And they got, like in Minneapolis, they got school of choice. So if you live in Minneapolis, you can pretty much go to any of these schools around here. And the state gives these schools money. So a lot of these schools is open to you going to them if you live in Minneapolis. So you ain't got to go to, because a lot of the schools in Minneapolis proper, they was closing the motherfuckers. Where my best friend went, which was where El Amin went, north, they was about to close that motherfucker. And then Patrick Henry, at one time I lived near Patrick Henry. That one. Now, you talking about Asians? Patrick Henry is nothing but Asians. That's what saved that school. Then the rest of some of the Asians went to North High with brothers and sisters, but a lot of the Asians, it was almost an Asian school at Patrick Henry. And you think people bothering them? And Patrick Henry is in the middle of the goddamn hood. Nobody bothered them there, people here. Adam, are you going to make a documentary on magnetic rims, maybe like 45-minute video? I've been trying to explain to my friends how sports are rigged, how it works. Good point, Adam. Thank you for asking that. Possibly. I'm not an editor. My skills, you can see this. I can't even minimize this shit to bring shit up. I don't know how to do that shit, and I don't pretend like I do. Like I got this monocaster and I can't get it to do all the shit it do, so I'm back to the Yeti. So that's a good idea. I'm trying to think. What's his name? I had to look him up. I'll tell you. You could look up Draco. Kind of shows the system, but it's other dudes too that they call it the missile magnetic system. Is it Draco Tunes? I don't know. They might have took his stuff down because I know they was fucking with him. Let's see if I can get this pulled up. No, let's see. This is some bullshit. Looking at myself. Yeah, they're not bringing all the titles. Let me see. Maybe they'll do. Okay, here we go. What is his name? Because he's made a couple videos that kind of, but you can look at missile technology too. I wonder if Draco shit is still up though. He ain't went through in a minute. looking for shit like this, I have trouble. So I'll try to find it. Oh, here it is. Draco Tunes 2. Let me see if he's still up. He's still up. So he kind of decodes a little bit too. But you can also look into missile technology. But yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I'll get somebody to give me a hand and try to do it. But that's a good point. Thank you, Adam. That's a good point. Thank you for the motivation. Motivation. There was forced busing in South Boston back in the 70s. White parents didn't like it, so the black students showed up. The white parents had a demonstration showing their displeasure. Anish, remember, I talked about that last night. You can look at them stabbing a dude during the Boston thing, the Boston riots over the busing. They show a brother get stabbed with American flag. Look that up. That's Boston. That's why none of the black kids I knew and myself never went to South Boston for anything. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you can. Every playoff game, absolutely. Because it's used. It is used. But yeah, I told it like Flint that's got the water problem. Flint blew up buses. They blew the buses up in Flint when they was gonna force. Must have been 72. They was gonna force Flint to bus, and this is when Flint had. It ain't just Flint was hoodie. It ain't the Flint that got poisoned. Flint was a very thriving, big town. I want to say Flint was the third biggest town in Michigan. I think it was Detroit, Grand Rapids, Flint, and then Kalamazoo. I think far as the biggest cities. So Flint had the GM plant. So this was back before they took the plants out in the 80s. So Flint was a very, those European folks wasn't having it. The European folks was like, no, we just blow these motherfuckers up so they can't use them. Yeah. So yeah, I understand the needs about South Boston. It was like when I was a little guy, I was talking to boys in junior high and the high schools. They fought all the time. I mean, it was just, and this was really like integration, but not forced integration. But it was just fighting all the time. I mean, I remember listening to my boy's grandfather in high school talking about how the brothers, was fighting the European dudes all the time. It was just like riots all the time across the nation. This is even before busing was intact. It was because of integration. Brothers wasn't having that shit anymore. So you go to school, junior high, fight all day. You fight, the brothers was fighting, it was like riots, full-scale riots, almost daily occurrence in these schools because of integration. Like you talking about 68, 69, 70. My boy's grandfather graduated in 69. And he talks the same stuff that I witnessed too, even in my high school, at the old high school before my high school is considered newer high school, but the old high school, that's all they was talking about, fighting all the time, during immigration, fighting people. And if you're talking about black versus white was then, where the young people was fighting all the time. So can you imagine going to school having to face that shit? That's tough. Coaches were recruiting from city schools, helping them get placed on black families' occupancy permits in the county, A-rated schools. It's funny you say that. My basketball coach, he coached the junior high where I went to grade school. They turned that junior high into grade school. It was a great school. It had a pool and everything. But that was his first high school job, was at the school I was saying. It was called Hackett. It was a private school. He got some of them boys he got two boys. He got Amos Jones and Bobby Collington. And Amos made All-American as a junior. They lost the championship, Class B, which is A was the biggest high school, B is the second biggest. And he took Amos and them to the finals his first year. Amos was All-American. And then Amos doesn't I think Amos got caught stealing and shit because Amos was kind of a klepto. I don't mean to talk bad of the dead, but Amos, during the JV game, would go into the other team's locker room and hit them hard. He would disappear, and he'd go in that locker room and go through everybody's pockets and shit. So I think they got hip to Amos, and Amos went to the other school. Amos is coming in as an All-American. All the jealous guys, and they voted him out. He wouldn't stand for the national anthem, and they had a team vote, and all these jealous players voted him out. Yeah, this guy that took his team and he didn't play, and he went to the Army I don't know if he got hurt, what happened to him. One of my thumbnails shows anus. You go to one of my thumbnails before the old man smoking, it shows anus. Because you'll see a guy shoot a layup, and then you'll see a guy from Kalamazoo behind him. And so, yeah, my coach did the same thing. This is funny. Amos, my cousin, these dudes was junkies, which is interesting. These guys were junkies. These guys would hoop, especially my cousin Ricky. Ricky, they went to the quarterfinals, but Ricky was a junkie. And it just blew my mind that these cats was using heroin at 19 and 20, or like 18, 19 years old. These dudes were shooting heroin in high school. Even my father-in-law, my boy's grandfather, talked about the same thing. He was like, he'd be walking downtown and he needed a shot, and he would like find a little alley or something and take a shot and then just keep walking downtown. He was that kind of heroin addict. Again, heroin was cheap. And if you listen to any Al Prophet stuff, you hear about the Detroit people and how, you had functional heroin addicts, just like people like cigarettes. In the 60s, it was very common to see heroin addicts. And they wasn't addicts. That's the thing. Heroin was so readily available because of Vietnam that, like, people want to smoke cigarettes, people want to smoke weed, there's people that want to be junkies. Remember, now, a couple months ago, we had a doctor come on. Remember, he's a PhD talking about his heroin addict, how you ain't really got to be a junkie. And I've talked about my own personal experience with a roommate that was a Vietnam vet that was a heroin junkie. Matter of fact, he was speedball most of the times, but I've said this many times. This cat lived with me for about 6-7 months. We was roommates. And as far as I knew, he only shot heroin on the weekends. And this dude, we went to work every day. Weekends, from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, he was on heroin. I did not see him using heroin during the week. I could be wrong, but the way we got paid every Friday. And I ain't seen him drink a beer or nothing during the week. So, this thing they're saying that, he was getting sick. He wasn't. I ain't seen him getting sick. So, and motherfucker didn't have a car. I had the car. So, motherfucker wasn't. And I knew his woman, and I ain't seen him shoot heroin during the week. On the weekends, yes. During the week, no. Yeah, he was recreation with it. I remember when I was 8, 2 little white girls my age called me my little sister the N-word. Me and my sister let him have it. It didn't help me that I just watched Roots. I told you, when I went to Canada, this little dude called me a nigger. We went to Canada, and I was in 5th or 6th grade. I don't remember. But this motherfucker spit some candy in my face. He called me a nigger and spit some candy in my face, and I'm just pounding him. They come on the bus, and I'm just pounding this dude in the face. And they're like, why are you pounding him? And then one of the classmates said, he spit candy in Brian's face. And they're like, oh, did you spit candy in his face? He was like, yeah. Oh. So, and then somebody else like, and he called him a nigger too. Somebody's like, he spit candy in his face. And somebody else was like, yeah, he called him a nigger too. Like, you called him a nigger? And they grabbed him and shit, and jacked him up and took him out. And then the dude wanted to be my pen pal and shit. I went and spent the night with the motherfucker. His parents sent me, my parents, a big ass letter. We apologize and we want your son to come. And I was cool with the motherfucker. But I put that work on him. He spit in my face. I was like, pow! I guess he wasn't used to that smoke, but then we became cool. That's the funny story. His parents apologized, sent letters, and he was my guy. We pen palled forever. But I went and stayed a weekend with him and shit, chilled in Canada, Windsor. Windsor's across from Detroit. Ontario. Windsor, Ontario. That's why it's a way, I've said this before, it's a way to go to Toronto. It's a straight shot. You used to get in the train in Detroit, take you across the bridge, and it's a straight shot to Toronto. Used to be, at 55, it was about a 7-8 hour drive. I imagine now it's going 70 is probably a quicker trip. But yep. Oh yeah, I had to put the work on it. But but it's like, the initial thing was I had to whoop his ass, but it came in the long run, Academically, kids had low grades. Athletically excellent. Teachers threw D's on it just so they could play and win state championships. Yeah, I agree. I've talked about Muhammad Ali couldn't read. Joe Frazier couldn't read. It's so many. Here's one for you. Like Magic's agent was called Charles Tucker, and Charles Tucker got in the program because Western Michigan was one of the boards hit him and say, you only got any brothers as PhDs. So they took about 10 dudes. My mother's ex-boyfriend could have been one of these people. They was just pushing PhDs in. He had his master's and he stopped. He said he didn't need it. All of his friends became doctors. I mean, they literally pushed these people in. My best friend's daddy, Dr. Kirk, he married a chick from North Carolina. They went, she worked at A&T. They switched jobs. He became the department head. She became his assistant, but he was a Dr. Kirk. And so they pushed these brothers. Dr. Tucker was one of them. He was Magic, Isaiah, Zaguire, Kelser. He was a bunch of their agents, and he stole money from them. You hardly hear Dr. Tucker's about Dr. Tucker and Magic's book, but he ended up stealing money from him. So all of them kind of cut him out. But my point bringing him up is he was teaching at Michigan State. A lot of them hoopers weren't taking classes. Ralph Simpson, now Ralph Sampson, that played for Denver. Ralph is from Detroit, went to State. He ends up he played with Denver, with the Denver whatever the fuck Denver's team is called, the Denver Nuggets. Ralph Simpson. You see some pictures of David Thompson. You'll see a number 44. That's Ralph Simpson. But Ralph fell under Dr. Tucker. And then they fired Dr. Tucker from Michigan State because guys wasn't doing their grades. Like even me, I admit this. My sophomore year, going into my junior year, I fucked around, and so got a couple Fs or incompletes, and I had to take like 6 hours in summer school. And luckily, all the coaches taught classes. I had to take one class. The rest of them I didn't even have to take because all the coaches, I was like tennis and recreation, some old shit that got me eligible. And that's kind of what we did. We fucked around. Like the first semester during football season, we bust our ass. We fucked around. The second semester, we relied on going to summer school. And then the year before I went pro, motherfucking new coach came in. He told me wasn't any money for summer school because I needed to take a full load in both sessions. And he's like, "There's no money left." I'm like, "Fuck you! I'll just go play." And so he tried to talk shit to me, and I'm like, "Fuck you, man! I don't need to hear your shit. I don't need to play for you." Because I had a job. I was working for the water department too. So I was already hustling. So. Well, I think 3.5 hours is probably way too long. I'm going to have a little girl knocking on my damn door at 11 talking about I'm hungry. Like, you're with your mama all morning, and then you come to me, and I'm just waking up, and I'm like pretty much like this until I have my coffee. I'm like, get out my face. I'm hungry. Get out my face. And she'll go sit down and go do something else. Then I get my coffee ready with my She Legit in it. So it's like the second or third day. So I was wondering why the energy was so good last night. So, but yeah, I think I'm going to end it here. And thank you all for the attention. I appreciate it. Thank you for the interaction. It's beautiful. And thank you for the great, he's saying, put on talk shoe on the phone. I can go on the phone. Okay. It's going to go on the iPhone. So, Tina, thank you. Barbara, everyone. I know I'm going to be talking to Barbara in a couple of days, so make sure you call me. I think you said the 22nd. So, yeah, make sure you call me. And, yeah, we'll go from there for sure. Yeah. So I will be on tomorrow night again. Don't know about going into Monday morning. We'll see. I kind of like having 2-3 days off. So this has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. I've been your host, 8 Wind. It's timeless. Thank you all. I appreciate you, Shirley. And, I always end with Eshan's poem. And it goes a little something like this. I'm not a New York rapper or LA gang banger. I'm just an old school Detroit crack slinger. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. Till we meet again.